Welcome to the International 3. They're right over there, guys. They're playing now. No, it's not in Los Angeles, but welcome to the International 3. The wildcard match is set to get underway in just a few moments. We've got a full team for you guys here today. Myself and my good man Lumi going to be casting some Dota.
Yep.
Quantic versus Rattlesnake. Best of 5 loser. They don't go home. They get a free trip to Seattle. They get, well, they get a lot of time to think about how they lost.
I heard the hotel was nice.
Yeah.
The food was nice. And according to Boba, the shower was nice. So I'm looking for the showers.
And if you're a true competitive Dota player, you don't care about that.
I do. I'm going there for the showers. Apparently,
this is why he's a caster,
they don't
player.
hose on you, right? It falls on you like the rain.
Blissful peace.
Yeah, blissful. I'm looking for that.
Of course, we're not alone. I'm LD. He's Lumi, but we've got a panel today. It's looking a little dark in that corner, but we've got Merlini, we've got Purge as well.
What does that mean?
I think that means that's actually the complete opposite of what I thought he was going to say. It's like
I meant the lighting, but we can roll with your alternative interpretation as well.
Okay.
You're just being sketchy.
Well, we are here. It's true. We're going to be watching the games. We'll definitely talk about what went right and what went wrong. And I'm really excited, actually. Everybody's been pretty discussing about who they think is going to win. I think Quantic, maybe. Everybody's saying a little bit Quantic, but
I think it was. I would have predicted 60-40 Quantic going in, and Dota 2 Lounge looks like it's like 63-37.
which is exactly what we base all our predictions on. Is the masses,
wow.
but. It could go both ways. Rattlesnake is also really good. We saw them have some great games during the qualifiers, and Quantic as well played really exceptionally. And they've recently they got second at which tournament was that? They won something recently, didn't they? DreamHack.
LD Quantic. They came second at DreamHack Summer. Okay. Took a game off Navi on the. It wasn't on the main stage. It was before they went to the main stage, I believe. But
so did Arctic.
They beat Team Liquid, and then they beat EG, and then they lost, I think, 0-2.
That was their best tournament run as of late. But they, despite being a wildcard entrant, they're one of the I would say they're one of the scarier Western teams coming to this tournament. Like if you look at the pool of Western teams, Quantic's also a complete unknown. You look at them, and you are staring into the abyss.
Yeah, I think watching some of the player interviews that Hotbid was doing yesterday for Team Liquid, I think Dignitas AUI said that the wildcards teams are probably the most dangerous team to prepare your strats against because you don't really know. And that specifically is true for Quantic because they have like 25 strats, which I'm probably sure that if we're going to go 5 games in the best of 5 series today, we're going to see 5 strats from Go Black for sure. Because if you have 5 games to prepare for your entire, I guess, Dota 2 career, these are the 5 games to have strats for.
Now, how many of those games will not involve Treant and will not involve Bane?
I mean, I'm predicting at least 2 tree picks out of the 5 at the very least.
Goblak hasn't always been a tree lover though.
Yeah. Before
there was Treant Protector,
there was Tango Eaters.
there was Bane.
Okay.
I don't know how you can love Bane, but he had a deep and meaningful relationship, and
Bane's a good hero. But I mean,
no surprises that didn't work out.
They are the team that in DreamHack Summer bust out Naga, Dazzle, Pugna offensive tri-lane and won in 15 minutes against Alliance. Like that's a team that you cannot be underestimating at all.
So we look at this match, and before we really introduce the teams, dive into it, and analyze it, the context for this, of course, is this is the wildcard match. Last year, it happened sort of ad hoc. Valve didn't anticipate it was going to happen.
Stop using big words.
Yeah, but they ended up happening. MUFC was, I guess, DQ'd or knocked out of the event before it even began. So they had Mouse Sports there, they had World Elite there, and they ended up having an unofficial wildcard match. Now, that wildcard match wasn't going by that name at the time. It was rather disappointing. If I recall correctly, 3-0 Mouse Sports, and every game was a stomp. I don't think this series will be anything like that.
I mean, last year Mouseport thought they were just going there and they weren't going to play.
Yeah.
And that's a fair expectation to be completely honest. But this year we have teams that are preparing 3 months for each other.
Just for each other.
Right. There's a grudge match. I know there's some patches and some heroes change in between. And this is East meets West where neither teams really get practice against each other or their practice partners. So yeah, I think both teams are really pumped up. A lot of the player interviews are saying that Quantic is very confident. And I haven't heard much from Rattlesnake. So I think judging from that alone, I favor Rattlesnake a little bit less.
Really?
Yeah.
So you think the
I'm rooting against the Chinese. Yeah.
So you think the bombast before the match is what matters?
I think a lot of the teams, and again, judging from the interviews that I've read and saw, a lot of teams feel like they're good enough to take games off each other. It really matters a lot more how the confidence levels going into the match.
See, personally, I think Rattlesnake is just the strong and silent type. They're just sitting there like, we got this, guys. We got this.
Well, they are dangerous because you don't know what the hell they're doing. We haven't seen them much, right?
That's true.
Well, we've seen Quantic.
Well, we've seen.
I mean, like in the past month, we have no clue what they're up to.
That's true. Like the past 3 to 4 weeks, there's very little match data on these teams. I actually went through every single player in our database trying to find their signature heroes just to update things to get it current. And a lot of these teams have not played an official match since like the 12th of July, and we're almost a month past that. So
I got spies though.
a new patch has come out since then. A lot has changed.
I got spies within every team.
Within Rattlesnake.
Not within Rattlesnake, but I could tell you
That's why you're rooting against them, because they won't let you spy on them.
I could tell you that throughout the tournament there might be some space cow.
Okay.
I could tell you that, like spies.
You and Bruno, your campaign to bring the cow back.
Yeah.
I hate cows.
The cow's back. The cow's being practiced upon. So.
Dude, that hero is imbalanced.
That hero is.
It
imbalanced.
actually
so
is
good.
ridiculous, and it's imbalanced at all levels. It's definitely imbalanced at the
Is
new.
Go Black gonna
level.
use it? Are we gonna bet on this?
I think I'll use it.
I think he'll use
I
it.
think I'll use it.
Who use what?
Spirit Breaker?
How about
Spirit Cow? Space Cow?
How about Timbersaw? Timbersaw. What do you think?
Oh, that's
Fitz,
for sure. I mean,
guaranteed?
S4's been playing it quite a bit.
We're talking about Quantic though.
Today, Quantic.
Yeah. Are you gonna see it today?
I don't know.
I actually have an interesting question. Will Quantic get Treant Protector once this series?
They will get it once.
Only once, and then they'll win that game. And
Well, I
Rattlesnake will ban it?
predicted 2 games. They'll get it.
Okay.
Because like game 1, they'll probably get away with picking it, and then maybe game 4-ish,
Right.
they'll get it or something like that.
Do you guys actually think Treant's first ban worthy? Seriously?
I
I
think
think he's good, but
I mean, obviously, I think Goblack should be prepared for the possibility of the hero getting banned, so that's got to be a consideration. But what I don't know.
Calm down there, Aldi.
I'm getting
I know we're
excited.
excited here for
Goblack
Treant.
makes me want to talk. You
Yeah.
know, this guy just brings out the best in me. But when you look at Quantic, I think it is a team where you want to take them out of their comfort zone. You do not want to let the mastermind Goblack start stacking the dominoes up one by one, and then flicks one, and they all start. You have to disrupt the pattern with this team.
I mean, I think 90% of today's bet outcome comes down in drafting, which might not be exciting for a lot of you guys out there, but I think Go Black, again, has 5 different strategies prepared. They run, again, this is from scrims against Na'Vi. They gave away Wisp, Bat Rider, and 3 other top-tier pick to Na'Vi.
Yeah.
And they just clean house against Na'Vi. So, and I will safely assume that Na'Vi's better than Rattlesnake.
Well, we've been talking a
Bold
lot of
statement.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about Quantic. I think that Lumi was the guy who coined the term. Once you go black, you can't go back.
Yeah, people have been stealing my line,
But
man. Hold on.
for Quantic, I mean, Rattlesnake has been. They haven't really. We haven't seen much of them, but they do pull out some pretty unusual strats too. I guess they're pretty unusual compared to a lot of the other Eastern teams, and I wouldn't discount them either.
Your Rattlesnake picks kind of unconventional compared to sort of
And they lane unconventionally
your normal
too.
heroes.
They did like the Darkseer Clockwork lane like a lot in the TI3 Eastern qualifiers.
it works really well. They won so
Yeah.
many games. They would do like that was like the bane of the solo lone druids. The lone druids go to the lane and they'd be like, "Oh, this is gonna be the easiest lane. It doesn't matter who's here, they'll lose." But then Clockwork with Battery Assault plus the Ion Shell was just
Yeah,
so much
it's
magic
ridiculous.
damage. Just like kill them repeatedly.
But if you actually look at Rattlesnake's drafts a bit closer, a lot of their they pick unusual heroes, like they pick Doombrainer, the Clockwork as a 4 position. But if you really study the games for this team, they pick unusual heroes and unusual lineups, but they do it a lot. Like they have a set group of heroes like the Doom, the Enchantress, the Storm Spirit, and they keep on going back to those. So I think
So you're saying they're not unpredictable?
I think they're unpredictable, like if you've never seen them before. But I think when you actually look at the tape for this team, you get a good sense of how they like to play.
Do they have enough tape from this team though, aside from TI3
Is there
Eastern
any
qualifiers?
relevant tape? That's the real question.
I don't know.
Do these teams have completely new strategies? You would expect. I mean, you expect Quantic to come in with 5 strategies, maybe 1 or 2 that we've seen before, probably 2 or 3 that we haven't. But if you look at Rattlesnake, what do you expect from them?
I mean, the available data for Quantic is to go back to the qualifier matches and look from there, and they will ban out the Storm. Or
I mean, so much stuff has changed since May though. It's like 6.78 has hit, and like
That's fair, but I mean, if you're Quantic, you say, I know they have good Storm, so we will be mentally aware of that. If you're Rattlesnake, you can't say, I know they have a good Spirit Breaker, for example, because you've never seen that. You can't say they have a very good,
Who isn't a good Spirit Breaker?
I guess.
Press Q.
Let me go to watch or learn and see what other, like you can't say, oh, they have a good offlane Warlock. Can you say that Go Black won't do offlane Warlock? I don't know. It sounds horrible. But
I could say he won't do that.
Dignitas did it. I saw them do it.
Dignitas do solo mid Warlock, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But what if, like, oh, I want to do offlane Templar Assassin? Can you prepare against that? I don't know.
Meld level 1, right? You just like
This
hide
was-
in the lane
but-
and sap EXP.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
Lumi. That's the Lumi strat.
Except he accidentally skilled refraction first,
And then
anyways,
just fed.
and then you just fed.
Dude, refraction first is OP, man. I'm just saying.
All right, guys. Well, with that being said, we've talked about the matchup. We've talked about the teams, the stakes. Let's introduce the teams, and then let's dive into some stats, shall we? We'll start with Quantic. These have been updated for the most part. Some of them we don't have birth dates for, so you have Old Man Silent. He's been playing carry for Quantic, which is an interesting transition because for much of his career, he was a support.
113 years old.
Yeah. And still owning. Of course, Funzy. You've got the 3 French. So Quantic is a very interesting team in terms of how they came together. You've got 3 French, and then you've got your Russians. A very unorthodox pairing. I think Napoleon would probably be tossing and turning in his grave, but Funzy's moved past that. He's generally your solo mid, the OD, the puck for him, and you've got your offlaner, your utility hero, Sakshka. The thing with Quantic is I actually was trying to assign them roles, and it's really hard because they do switch their lanes a lot. They're very unpredictable, and the same is true for Rattlesnake, maybe even more so. So take these positions with a grain of salt.
I think, I mean, if you just look at experience and player level comparative to Rattlesnake, these players were part of MTW last year at TI with Cinderin. They won DreamHack last year together over Navi, so these players have seen it. They have been there, they have done that, and I just don't think that they will be phased at all. I can't say for the same for the Rattlesnake squads, so.
Yeah, Rattlesnake has, I can't think of a signature LAN victory for this lineup.
Right.
I mean, some of these players have been around for a while. Kabu attended the International too. A lot of these other players. Ice was on World Elite. So it's not like they lack for experience individually. But as a team, they don't have that moment where they kind of bonded and came together and did really well, took a game off Navi at a big event.
Right.
We haven't seen that from them.
When your tagline, well, we'll get there later, but
Position 4.
yeah. Position,
Fucking mad. Where did he come up with this name? Because he is like the nicest guy you will ever meet in the Dota community. Just watch every interview with him. He's so good-mannered. He's genial.
He's very smart as well. If you guys have not read his blog posts about things like positioning and drafting choices and all that stuff, I recommend you take 5-10 minutes to just go look it up and read it.
It's a double whammy. First, he sucks you in because he's like Mike Libby, because he's fucking mad, right? So you're expecting this asshole. Then he turns out to be really nice, so he suckers you in that way. But he's actually a devious mastermind. Like you said, he's got this blog, and he thinks very hard and well about Dota. But the real mastermind is Mr. Treant Protector himself. He invented Treant. Before he invented Treant, though, he did invent Bane Elemental. Actually has been an innovator for quite some time. And I looked at his team history. I don't know if you realize this, but the only top CIS team that he has not played for is Virtus Pro. He used to play for Navi, played for the old DTS, played for Empire. Goblack gets around.
He's not pro, though. He's not a Virtus Pro.
Oh, we're not doing hexagons, Jared.
Oh, really?
Wow, this team's pretty bad.
No hexagons, Jared.
They have 0.
The community spoke. They said no more hexagons.
What?
Bruno ruined them. Bruno ruined them for everyone with his ranking.
Look, all I'm saying is, it ain't me that gave somebody a 4. Somebody,
You're still copying
other people colluded and agreed on 4, but it ain't me.
This poor Lumi. He's
I
getting all the flack.
I got all the flame, but
Havost hates him
I
now.
don't mind. Like I'm used to being flame all the time, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But I just for the record, I gave
Put on your
nobody
fire
a 4.
suit.
Yeah.
Okay.
He actually gave Havosa 1.
Yeah, and they bumped it up to 4.
He didn't give him a 4 though. That's very true. So guys, the game should be starting fairly soon.
I forgot about Rattlesnake.
Lobby is actually up, but we will introduce Quantic's opponents now. You have Rattlesnake, no hexagons, Kawa, no hexagons, but I would say a very interesting team. When they came out of the gate, this team was crushing. They went deep in the G1 League Season 5 qualifiers. They took down some top teams. Icy, carry player. I would say he's the player on their team that has the most to prove coming into this because he has struggled. He has not been as convincing as some of their other players as of late and some of their players in the past.
Well, now when you said that they came out the gates and they were doing quite well, is it because the other Chinese team never seen it? Like when they run Storms and Dooms and clock Darkster dual lane, that's not a strategy where you say, hey, we could beat this, because they never seen it before.
It was kind of, I feel like with Rattlesnake, maybe there was that LGD international effect, right? Where they come out and they're picking different. And so for a while, teams struggle. Because that's what happened with LGDN. They're running their dual roam G League Season 2. The Chinese teams were totally unprepared for that. But
Massive
since then,
push with Lycan and Luna.
they've
right?
adapted.
Yeah.
So we can move along here. Luo, generally the solo mid, but again, it does vary a lot with this team. So your 3-position player, I think he's one of the most impressive players in all of China. His name is Lam, and you look at his heroes and you're probably scratching your head. Wait, what? He plays carry Tiny, he plays jungle Enchantress, he plays solo mid Storm. Yes, he plays everything, and he is one of the keys to this team's versatility and unpredictability.
Yeah, that in an interview with him, he said that the reason that he switches his role a lot within the team is because a lot of his teammates aren't really sure how to play specific heroes and specific roles. So he's kind of your like, well, nobody else knows how to play this. I guess I have to play this. And
He's the Pied Piper.
Yeah, he
come with me.
He just does everything. So very impressive player.
Your 4-position, Kabu, Clockwork Extraordinaire. I think not giving him Clockwork has been a mistake for this team. And one of the things that Rattlesnake has struggled with coming into this match is just settling on some roles and sort of identity for their team. They pick very unorthodox, but it does feel like at times they don't know where they're going. And you see Kabu playing heroes like Crystal Maiden, support Windrunner. Not that he's a bad player by any means, but his Clockwork is great. And I think if you're Rattlesnake, you want to go into this match, play to your strengths.
I mean, at the same time, when they were doing really well with the Clockwork, it was before Clockwork got nerfed with the BKB. The cost can't push it back, and that's a big deal in competitive Dota. You could ask Boba or any top Clock player, and they'll definitely agree.
Boba doesn't really play Clockwork anymore.
Which is a shame, because I really like his Clock, but, you know.
Sagem, last but not least, formerly Neo. Famous for his Earthshaker, the 5-position for this team. But as of late, it hasn't actually been Earthshaker. It's been Visage. Every Chinese team, hell, every team has a Visage player.
Yep.
He's enjoying racking up those kills. It's like playing pinball, except with Dota.
Well, except Chinese.
Your score just keeps going up.
They don't go offensive trialing with Visage, which is just sad.
So we've introduced the teams. We've talked a little bit more about... we've sort of introduced the matchup. The stakes, again, loser goes home. I mean, they get to hang around in Seattle, but your heart is broken. You might be there in body, but you're not there in spirit. So, best of 5, guys. Game 1 should be starting, looks like fairly soon. Do we have any predictions? What are some of the keys to the match for you? Like Merlini, Perch, what do you think are sort of the keys for Rattlesnake? Because it seems like we've been talking a lot about Quantic, and talking a lot about how Quantic is the favorites, how they seem to have more of a game plan, they've got the better land results. If you're Rattlesnake, how do you tackle that?
I would say maybe just focus on having something that can deal with the living armor a little bit. If you could do maybe even something like Slark on the mid lane and have a favorable matchup there, then it might give you a good enough advantage that it kind of negates that one hero. Dark Pact, of course, does many sources of little damage, so it can break through the tree armor. We all know that Quantic really does want to draft the tree armor protector most likely, so if they can just predict their strats a little bit and then maybe draft other normal stuff, then
what about banning, just straight up banning him though? I mean, they could do that if they ban that. They have to ban Wisp too for the most part.
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
they have to give away Bat, which is, I mean,
Bat is scary.
That's a little scary.
It's like a free.
But what other options are there? I mean, Slark's like okay mid lane, but you don't want to pick Slark just in hopes of like winning like the first like 10 minutes of one lane. I don't know.
He snowballed pretty well during the qualifiers. I don't know.
That's true.
AL went really far with that hero. But,
that hero's good.
Yeah, he's
surprisingly good.
If he can snowball a little bit and just get a moderate amount of CS, his roaming is really bar none in some ways. Like, you don't need any items. You can have like treads and you are really happy.
Yeah.
Treads and levels and you can do.
There's a lot of better heroes I think that can deal. They have like Gyrocopter with Barrage. They
That's
have
true.
Darkseer with Ion Shell. I think those are generally stronger picks. But I think in general, Rattlesnake just needs to be able to adapt. Like for example, if they just do a 2-1-2 lane, that's somewhat predictable, I guess, for Rattlesnake, and Golbak just throws them something totally off. They need to react. They need to rotate a lot early in the first 10 minutes. Make sure they don't lose in just the first 10 minutes. I can just see them just straight up getting owned in the lane and then not being able to come back.
Yeah,
so I think that they just need to be able to react accordingly, try and predict as best they can, but just be flexible just in case something strange happens, and it probably is going to happen.
Yeah,
but that's where Quantic is strongest, right? They are best at winning the lanes and just snowballing. That's what they did to Na'Vi. I think it was the Treant Weaver game. If I recall correctly, Silent was like 15-0 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
And he was diving Na'Vi to the tier 3s 12 minutes in the game. And this is Na'Vi, one of the strongest teams coming into the International 3, a legendary team in their own right. And Quantic made them look silly.
Yeah.
So you have to win the lanes, and that's where Quantic is strongest.
Yeah, and I really think that instead of trying rack your brain to kind of predict what Quantic's going to do, you're not going to predict them.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what they've been practicing. You have no really real data to go upon because they use different heroes. I really think you just bring your A game and try to just outplay them with your standard game. I think what Merlini talked about is being able to be flexible with your lineup, being able to flexible within the game, rotate early if you need to, or just play late if you have to. Things like that. I don't think you want to kind of go kind of toe-to-toe against Gold Black in the drafting stage. I think you outplay them. And no disrespect to Quantic, I don't think they are a top team in TI if we look at simply mechanic skills, for example.
I actually think if Rattlesnake don't get outdrafted and don't get horribly outlaned, I favor them in this matchup. I think I feel Icy is a bit of a weak link for the team, but overall, I look at Rattlesnake and I see support players like Kabu that can have a huge impact. You have Lamb, one of the strongest and most versatile 3 position, if you want to call him that, because he's anywhere from the 3 to the for the 2 to the 4.
Right.
So average out to the 3. Math skills for you. But I do think they have a lot of depth, a lot of versatility, and if they don't horribly lose the draft, I give them the edge.
The thing is, they will horribly lose the draft, though. So, like, this is just a toss-up.
Maybe. What if they come out? What if they come out of the gates and first pick Treant Protector, or just throw? Like, what if they do something to just try and throw Quantic totally off their game?
I mean, it's one thing to have these heroes selected, like Treant Protector or something crazy, but it's another thing to play it. And we know Quantic could play those crazy strats because that's all they practice. I don't know.
Rattlesnake plays Doom.
I'm not sure how crazy it is. We've seen many teams play it now. It's not even.
They also actually lose a lot of their Doom games, unfortunately.
So it's just they can't play the crazy strats, whereas Quantic can. So I mean, I don't think we have given prediction by anybody just yet.
Yeah, we had about 5 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes ago, so we can do predictions. Maybe Merlini can give us the betting odds.
3-0 Quantic. Oh, betting odds 63-37 in favor of Quantic. I think like 60-40 is probably fair value, at least in my mind. I would probably say 3-0, 3-1.
Place your bets.
Quantic. It's pretty close.
So you say 3-0 Quantic. Same thing as last year. Like Mouse Sports did the World Elite.
3-0.
Quantic will do it again.
And I was like leaning towards the 3-2. I'll say 3-1 based on this new information I've received.
He swayed you.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just trying to get people to bet on Quantic so I can just reap my rares.
See, you have a lot of power.
You don't even know. You don't even know who I'm betting on.
This is not fair. You have a lot of power being on this podcast.
I think he knows what I bet on.
Wow, you could, dude. If you sway the masses, you
couple
can get
thousand?
at least like
Oh my God, Quantic is the most amazing team I've ever seen. Oh my
all
God.
your rares.
Or more rares because of this.
I'll bet $100 it's going to take less than an hour for them to win all 3 games. But in all honesty, I think 3-0.
You've been figured out before the event started, Merlini. The jig is up. I would say take him away, but like, you have to handcuff yourself.
You
now.
hire us for our foresight. the Lumi foresight.
The Lumi foresight.
The Merlumi.
I got spies everywhere, so it's not even foresight.
You have spies everywhere. He's got his secret strats to get the rares. Together.
What about you guys?
Yeah. What about you, LD?
We're talking about your foresight, not your prediction yet.
I actually.
That's our foresight. Predictions are foresight, right?
I think Quantic is the more exciting team.
Yep.
I think they're the more creative team.
Yep.
I think they're the fan favorite.
Yes.
And I think you shouldn't put your rares on them. I actually think
you shouldn't put your rares on them.
I'm going to go out on a limb here because I really believe that Rattlesnake is the stronger team past the draft. If they don't get outdrafted and if they don't get horribly outlaned, I give them the edge. So I'm going to say Rattlesnake. But Quantic, you cannot count on 3-0ing this team. They'll pull out a pocket strat. They'll win the lanes. They'll do something crazy. I will say Rattlesnake 3-1.
3-1. Okay.
Book it. All your rares.
So I think we all agree on that. We know Quantic's going to win at least 1 game. At the very least, because they're going to pull out some crazy strat. But I'm going to be with Ben Wu here and say 3-0 Quantic. Because for all of the things you say, they're more unpredictable. They're a lot more fun to watch. And to be honest, once they beat Rattlesnake, and to me it's already done. They are going to beat Rattlesnake 3-0. Once they beat the Rattlesnake and they're going to be in Group B, they're going to give all those teams in Group B a hell of a nightmare. And we haven't really talked about the Group A and Group B, and that's saving for another day. But I think, like, how do you prepare against Quantic?
Is this another thing, Lumi? There's like, man, there's a lot of strong teams in this tournament. And then there's Rattlesnake.
You know how you prepare for Quantic? You coach the hell out of Rattlesnake so they beat Quantic so you don't have to play them.
That's true.
All the Chinese teams, there's actually a great, fantastic picture of all 5 Chinese teams with a flag in front of them, and then they had their individual logos on banners in front of them as well.
Chinese flag? Or?
All 5 Chinese teams were united.
Okay.
So, for all we know, Rattlesnake's been getting a little help from some friends like LGD China, Tong Fu.
I know that a lot of the Western teams are refusing to scrim against the Chinese. Don't give away any information. So the Chinese are also
united we stand. Yeah. All of it for America.
It's the West versus the East.
USA.
Yeah, this is like the Cold War of freaking Dota 2 right now.
It's the new Cold War. Yeah. It's the Cold War Part 2. So I'm outnumbered, huh? 3-1. Everyone's looking at Quantic here.
Yep.
That's about how the mass is.
I'm used to it. I can stand the heat.
Quantic easy rare. I'm just all saying.
Easy rares. So the players are starting to join the lobby now, guys. We have 5 Quantic players in, and Rattlesnake are hopping in. The good news is that there won't be any delay on the stream, and there shouldn't. I think it's like a 10-second in Dota TV just to allow you to have access to directed camera and things like that. But basically, you get to watch this live.
Yeah.
It's a LAN event. Something new.
What if they stream sheet?
It's going to be really hard. There's like Valve employees in every single room watching.
Somebody's gonna have their phone.
Have
like,
your
right
phone
here.
like obviously.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, they're warding over there.
Yeah.
Let's go deep ward.
Do they strip search you before you go in? I mean, how serious is Valve about stopping cheaters?
I don't know if this is the match to cheat on. I don't know. I mean,
But what when there's one match going on and there's 13
it's like,
different pairs of casters?
let's gamble our entire competitive career on something that might give us a chance to join the actual competition. I don't know. If
No
they
money at
cheat-
stake right
yeah,
now.
If they cheat and win and get caught, they are done.
Okay,
They're not
so
coming back.
who's more likely to cheat? That's something else we can bet on.
Do we really need to discuss this?
I'm just kidding.
the
know.
direction
Oh,
of
French
this,
people aren't known for surrendering. They're known for cheating. They're known for surrendering.
Since we have a little bit of extra time, we have all 10 players in the game. We could quickly take a look at our most picked heroes and our stats.
Sure.
Because we actually have graphs. A lot of you did not like the hexagons, but we've got something a little bit more hard data for you guys. We have some graphs, some most picked heroes. We'll start with the most picked heroes.
I want more controversial data.
I do want controversial data as well.
I think for Rattlesnake here, I look at this and I see
Ignored.
clockwork.
Straight ignored.
Lots of clockwork. And I
An
hope they give it to
alchemist.
Kabu.
An alchemist.
It's a lot of really strong, typical heroes out of Rattlesnake. The only one that's weird on there, to me, is the Clockwork. But like we've seen tons of Alchemists, tons of Gyrocopter, tons of Darkseer, and tons of Visage in the last couple months. So, or at least the last 2 months since the qualifiers, especially. So definitely interesting to see all those on there. And Quantic has a little bit weirder stuff with OD Tree. They've done that many times. They're one of the teams to really just push that forward. And then some other typicals, Batrider, Gyro, and of course we have seen them do Bane a lot. So not too surprised.
So the thing that surprises me the most is that somebody gave Quantic, or the teams that play against Quantic have gave them away Bat 18 times. And that's a number that should not be that high, right? So that makes me think that teams are banning out things like Tree or some other obscure hero against them and say, all right, you can have the Bat, which does not bode well for Rattlesnake because they can play Bat well.
I guess they banned Wisp out.
That is the other side of the coin, though. When you look at Quantic, is if you try to target ban them, then you open up all these other heroes,
Yeah,
like
they'll just
Wisp,
play
the
Bat.
Bat
Yeah,
Rider.
they'll play Wisp, sure.
So that's pretty interesting as well. Well, we still have more time, Cal. We have graphs. I want to show our hashtag production value, because big shout out to Way Too Death. Sam also contributed to our Kickstarter, but he has put a lot of time into designing these. Unfortunately, on this particular background, you can't really see the average global or the overall average that well. There's a transparency issue, but we could see our average game time in minutes. So games are getting longer for these teams
Quantics
as
are
of
winning
late.
games in 0 minutes in May.
Nice.
There's no data for them in May.
average of 0 and 37 is 35.
If there's a 0, it's because there's no data. Or the better explanation, which is they're that good.
They just win in draft. That's what I'm saying. The other team says we were outdrafted, we quit.
So looking at this average kills per minute, I think this is interesting because generally this correlates with winning. From what I've seen, the teams that are winning more tend to have higher average kills per minute, which generally makes sense. I suppose you could be trading really aggressively, but these teams have dropped off a lot in terms of their aggression, or at least the success of their aggression over the past month.
Yeah, I think teams are now more focused on movement of heroes early on, like stacking your jungle, for example, if you're support, or then rotating to protect your outer towers, things like that. They don't earn you a lot of kills, but they make your mid game a lot stronger.
Average goal per minute, nothing too much to see here. This is all pretty standard. They're all right around the average. They're playing average, or they were. But this is the International 3, so whatever they were doing before now, it's all completely new. So we have our predictions. Merlini, Purge, any closing words before we hop into the game? The game's loading now. Hopefully all our spectators do connect.
Let's get a Twitch Chat USA chant started right now. Thank you.
Who are we USAing for?
Anybody that's not
Not Chinese?
wanna be like last
are
year,
our
guys.
resident Chinese going to allow that? I mean,
We're both on Rattlesnake, or we're both on Quantic. So
you're on the hype train.
3-0 Quantic, in fact.
You don't know where my rares are.
Lumi, you've lost touch with the motherland.
I know.
So
after
it's so is
IG
Merlini.
just disappointed him, he just threw the baby out the door.
I just don't think Rattlesnake is.
So I have a long-standing connection to China. My family has a
How many
deep,
generations
a deep
ago
and
back?
meaningful relationship with the country. We've been there for many years. So I will carry the flag. I will carry the torch. And on that note, guys, the International 3 is officially underway. Game 1 has begun. Quantic versus Rattlesnake, best of 5. Loser eliminated. Winner advances into the group stages. It all begins now. Rattlesnake Gaming going to be on the Dire side and Quantic on the Radiant.
Well, right from the get-go, this is something that Purge definitely mentioned on Ban the Tree, or I think Ben also touched on it quite a bit. Ban the Tree, you know, forget all of the Go Black strategy, and right from the get-go, Wisp, Batrider are still in the pool, and no matter what they ban, Quantic's going to get one of them. Wisp gets, there you go, Batrider, 19th time now.
It's like you said, it's the strength of playing unconventional and being successful. Is either teams adapt and target ban you, in which case these heroes get through, or they choose not to, and they pay the price and they give away the trance. So there is no OD available this game, but when Quantic start with the Batrider, it leaves their options wide open. If you're Rattlesnake right now, there is a Darkseer available, there's a Visage. Those are 2 heroes that they've turned to a lot. If they're going to play this standard, that would be my expectation, but they'll go for a lot more lockdown here. They'll get a hero that can really punish the Batrider. Spike Carapace is one of the best abilities in the game to deal with Bat. He jumps in, you Carapace, walk in his Firefly, his initiation could be over, and they get a tanky hero that's hard to burst down in the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, I mean, as scary as Bat is, there's a lot of ways to deal with it. You talked about Nyx Assassin using the Spike Carapace. We see a lot of teams drafting Rubik, for example. Once he blinks in, you lift him up, and suddenly he just counter-initiate against himself, and you just kill him. Dragon Knight is a hero up in the front line, says, you can drag on me, you could initiate on me, I'm going to be tanky, I'm going to be fine. So I think Rattlesnake Gaming right now doing okay in terms of the draft, and to me, I think that a lot of the game, like 80% of the game, is decided in these picks and bans. And
Quantic will snap up the Darkseer. This also could be viewed as something of a denial pick to Rattlesnake. They could still fit it into their draft. It's a hero they like to run, but this is a potent combo. Giving Batrider Surge means he doesn't really need a Blink Dagger or a Force Staff. If he gets one, it's great, but he's already got very long range initiation, and their laning stage for Quantic, so versatile. If you're Rattlesnake, you have no idea what Quantic's going to do with their lanes, whereas if you're Rattlesnake, or rather if you're Quantic, you know what Rattlesnake's going to do. Dragon Knight pretty much has to go mid, Nyx pretty much has to be a tri-lane support, and that makes it much easier for Quantic to game plan.
And it doesn't matter, right? Even if Nyx goes mid or Dragon Knight goes mid, most likely, Batrider is going to eat them if they want to
put him mid.
Yeah.
And Darkseer probably beats both of those heroes mid as well.
Yeah. So I just think that Quantic Gaming already from the get-go has, I guess, the top tier heroes, if you will call these 2. I think they are top tier, and they're doing quite well in the draft. Now, as scary as Batrider in a solo mid and a 1v1 situation against DK, how much more scary it is for the Darkseer to rotate out of jungle and put Iron Shot on your Bat and surge him, because I don't think any other hero will survive against that. Definitely not a DK.
And on that note, we'll move into the second stage of the draft. Gyrocopter getting banned out here by the Rattlesnake. The Nature's Prophet removed by Quantic. So removing the heroes that can be very versatile on the laning stage. Quantic gets rid of the Prophet, they now get rid of the Lifestealer, and these heroes can go anywhere. They can go jungle, they can go offensive tri-lane, or not offensive tri-lane for the Prophet, but he can go off lane by himself, he can jungle. Lots of options if you get your hands on those. They have been removed for Rattlesnake.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen actually Rattlesnake use the split pushing based hero that well. I think Lifestealer is a decent split pusher. The fact that he could always get away with the Rage TB, and same thing with Nature's Prophet just being so mobile. So I'm not exactly too sure what Quantic is trying to get at by banning out these heroes. Maybe they're playing a little bit more 5-man oriented. When you're playing 5-man push down the mid lane kind of strategy, you don't want them to be split pushing you, and these are the heroes that are somewhat annoying to deal with.
And now we'll wait for that last spin from Rattlesnake, but if you look at Quantic now, we have no idea how they want to lane this. Bat can go mid, Darkseer can go mid, both can jungle, both can off lane, so we don't know how they're going to lane it, but we do know they need a carry. They need some support here. So if you're Quantic, Weaver's in the pool, that's a hero they've turned to in the past. What other heroes might you have your eyes on?
I'm starting to expect a little bit crazier picks coming out from Quantic, because so far, Batrider, Darkseer is just completely standard, right? Where's your Templar Assassin offlanes, or where's your Warlocks? I'm expecting crazier
Where's
picks.
your Bloodseeker mid? I don't think we'll see it. But
Bloodseeker beats DK, right?
I don't know. I think maybe, but
I think so.
To what end? Like, you get level 6, you rupture him, he just stands there.
No.
So even if you out-CS him, he's still Dragon Knight. He's a mobile stud.
If you put Iron Shell on your Bloodseeker and then ruptures, you can
and then Batrider comes in and lassos the
there you go.
Then you can kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see the Bloodseeker, unfortunately.
Maybe we will.
There is still a Kabu Clockwork. Like you mentioned, the hero has not been as popular lately. They already have kind of a more farm and level dependent 4 position in the Nyx, assuming he is a support. So I don't know if they'll go for it. Visage is available as well. That's something they've turned to a lot in the past. But if you're Quantic, the draft is still wide open. You can go back for your jungle heroes. You can really punish a Visage pick, go for a lot of early pressure. They've got strong solos that don't need a lot of help. And early on, Rattlesnake will snap up a Shadow Fiend against two of the strongest laners in the game. So, well, how are they going to lane this?
Shadow Fiend beats Darkseer. I mean, he's going to have trouble for the first 2 levels or so.
Yeah.
But once Shadow Fiend gets enough damage from his Necro Mastery, he will just deny and last hit every Iron Shell creep or every creep that Darkseer is trying to get. And once Shadow Fiend hits 5, you're actually in danger if you're the Darkseer. So I think this is a fairly strong pick in the laning stage at least. And that's something that you talked about, right? Rattlesnake need to stand strong in the laning stage. And Shadow Fiend on the 1 row, Dragon Eye mid, it's not that bad. I think they're actually doing okay. I'm more worried about the mid game, because when the bat jumps on your Shadow Fiend, then what happens?
Yeah, right now they do have a good heroes to counter initiate. You can Dragon Tail him, you can Carapace Firefly, walk in the Firefly, you can impale him as well. So I think they have some ways to deal with the bat initiation. But Rattlesnake right now, it looks like a defensive tri-lane. Shadow Fiend Nyx +1, Dragon Knight to go solo mid, and then they still need their offlaner and they need another support. If you're Quantic, it's still open. Do they abandon the offlane, run a bat mid, a Darkseer jungle? Do they put the Darkseer offlane? Do they put the bat offlane? It's still wide open, but now at long last, Godblack, he's going to have to start to tip his hand. He'll have to start to reveal exactly what he's got up his sleeve for this draft, and he'll take the Visage.
Yeah, so far Visage.
Okay, so you know Rattlesnake's going to defensive try in the Shadow Fiend.
Okay.
You could go aggressive tri-lane Visage if you want. And Shadow Fiend Nyx is not a strong tri-lane.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably going to be forced to pick up another very defensive hero. I think Earthshaker deserves a mention because Neo or Sag-M plays it so well. Although I'm not sure if you want to go Nyx and Earthshaker as dual melee support. Generally, that has not been too successful. And, you know, towards the mid-game, if Shadow Fiend, as well as DK do well, these Visage Birds are free gold. Because with the minus armor that Shadow Fiend provides, one single hit, that's 100 gold. So I think Quantic, there's a lot of pressure on them to actually do well on the laning stage. They usually do well, but I think this game especially, they have to do well.
Of course, guys, they got to get to the mid game. And against Quantic's draft, very strong solo laners. Batrider mid, Darkseer safe lane, or you flip them around. However they want to run them, if they do solo those heroes on the safe and mid lanes, and then they aggressive try with Visage, it's a Shadow Fiend Nyx tri-lane. It's not a strong tri-lane. The Dragon Knight isn't really a dominant mid. And Rattlesnake now will try to shore up that tri-lane, not with an Earthshaker, but they'll go instead towards a Chen. So they get a hero that, if he gets the right creeps, can really slow down the aggression early on, and has been in the past one of the better ways to deal with Visage. But I still think Quantic, if they go aggressive tri-lane here, could give Rattlesnake a whole lot of problems. Their positioning has to be perfect.
We're going to see Enchantress, so...
Jungle Wars!
Well, I think both junglers is going to be in their own jungle.
Really?
Because
You think defensive tri-lane from Quantic?
It's somewhat difficult for Enchantress to go offensive tri-lane, because on your, like, before you even get there, you probably are expecting that part of jungle warded. I'm talking about the, on the top lane, you know, the camp that you can pull to the left?
Yeah,
About the top lane?
on the Dire side, or when you're on the off lane on the Radiant side.
Right.
There's a camp you can pull.
You can pull to the left. I expect that if Rattlesnake thinks Quantic will go offensive, they'll ward off that camp, because that's generally where Enchantress finds the best big creeps and have easy access into gank path. It just is somewhat difficult to try to go for something like that. Shadow Fiend is actually, again, pretty decent in the defensive tri-lane because his damage output is quite high once he reaches level 3. So I really don't think Quantic go offensive. Now, all of what I said goes out the window if Quantic picks something amazingly crazy.
Well, I think Rattlesnake still fears the aggressive tri-lane because they ban out a Chaos Knight here, and that is what they need. If they want to go aggressive, is a farmer who can initiate. So Chaos Knight fits the bill. Maybe something like a Sven, but he's not really as useful on a tri-lane as Chaos Knight. His Storm Mode has such a long cooldown. So we'll see where they go, but I still feel like Quantic, you don't want to go defensive here. You have to punish the safe lane Shadow Fiend Nyx. You can't allow Rattlesnake to get their early levels and farm. If they do, well, now they'll go back for Weaver. But if they get to the mid game, I like Rattlesnake's draft quite a bit. Sure, you're going to find some Batrider pickoffs, but this is a tri-core. You've got a Shadow Fiend, a Dragon Knight, and a Weaver. Can you really gank them all?
You can't.
Not
you simply can't, right? And also during a team fight, can you kill them all? Like, I think you'll do okay probably killing the Shadow Fiend and maybe like forcing time lapse out of Weaver. But judging from what we see so far, they just don't have enough kind of lockdown or burst damage to kill enough. You got to keep in mind that there's a Chen, there's a Nyx Assassin. These are two decent defensive supports as well. Quantic is, I'm not expecting Quantic to draft completely standard like this.
I like how Rattlesnake's drafted.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
Quantic's
think
going
Rattlesnake
standard here, but I don't think it's necessarily going to work. they have to win this tri lane. And I feel now they really want to go aggressive, but if they go aggressive, that means Weaver gets a 1v1. Dragon Knight probably loses mid either way, whether it's Darkseer or Batrider, but he'll still get some levels, he'll still get some farm, and he's Dragon Knight. Hits level 6, you get your boots, you walk around, you stun people. Life's good.
So what do you think is the best lane setup here for Quantic is?
I feel they have to go aggressive. If they don't want to go aggressive, they have to pick a really hard carry. Like maybe, I guess there's an anti-mage, there's a Phantom Lancer. What do you think? I hear them screaming from the other room, but I can't hear what they're saying.
I mean, I think Quantic should put their bat mid. That's a free lane against DK. You do well, you get your quick blink. I think if we're going to go with what you're suggesting, offensive trialing with Visage Enchantress +1, I don't know what that
It could be the Darkseer. I mean, they won't kill anything, but they can pressure.
Okay, all
there
right.
you go. Darkseer tri-lane, I think.
So Darkseer trialing, and we're going to see Clinks on a 1v1 against Weaver. Who has that matchup? I think Weaver? I'm not even sure.
Well, I imagine you'll pull the Clink Sentry Wards. And early on, I still think the Weaver will have the edge. He might need some help. They could go defensive Charlie now, because if they get a really fast Orchid on Silent, he could take over the game. This is a hero that can be everywhere.
But the thing is, the Orchid is very, very key, because look at how many stuns there is in this game.
Yeah.
For Quantic, there's one on the Batrider, and until he gets a blink, it's not even a reliable stun. The cool thing about picking up Clinks here is that you have Chen's creeps to eat or your Enchantress creeps to eat. So there's no matter what during a team fight, you are going to have that big burst of HP, big burst of damage, which is something nice because a lot of times when you're playing Clinks, you're restricted. You know, you have to go in the jungle to find a creep and you might be warded, that kind of stuff.
And the Chen creeps will have extra HP.
Exactly.
So they'll be even
you
tastier.
get more HP, more damage. So this is pretty nice last pick here.
Supersize me. On the side of Rattlesnake, they're on the dire side. They've traveled all the way from China to be here. It's the International 3. It's not the qualifiers any longer, guys. It's the wildcard playoffs. It's our first match. Best of 5. Winner advances into the big dance. They go to the big stage. They'll be playing in the preliminaries tomorrow. We've got Lamb on your safe lane, solo mid Dragon Knight, rushing the bottle. Kabu, jungle Chen for him. Observers picked up Icy, handling the Weaver. We'll see where he goes, but for the time being, heading towards the top lane. Luo going to be playing the Shadow Fiend. Has been pulled pretty heavily by both of his supports. Last but not least, Sagam, or Neo, as he's also known, on the Knicks. That's your dire squad. Quantic, it's game 1 for them in the best of 5. They've got Sakshka on the Darkseer. For the time being, looks like he could be going to the aggressive tri-lane. Effing Mad will be playing the Visage, the support Visage. Kablack, the mastermind, the diabolical genius. These guys, of course, hailing from France and Russia. A nice mix there. He'll be on the Enchantress. Funzy, your solo mid Batrider. And last, but certainly not least, the man who will probably decide the fate of this team more than anyone in Game 1. It's Silent on the Clinks.
Yeah, and he is pulled as much as you could ask for being pulled. So he got the Wraith Man for himself. He got Tango as well, Sal from Go Black. And he is going to have that 1v1 match. He talked about the early Sentry Ward, and I think that breaks the matchup against Weaver, because I don't think Weaver could withstand the high damage fire arrows. Whereas, because Silent is such a low HP hero, a couple of Gemini attacks. And
we got a DD. No. That is so big. And oh no, this could be first blood.
No,
even one more hit. One more hit.
He's fine.
He can't get the rage.
Yeah, he's going to have. But that's a South. So he's down south now, and he does not have nearly enough stats to really go toe-to-toe against Silent.
I was actually going to say that I think Icy could have a huge advantage here, because if you catch the Clinks in the river, you at least force him to skill Windwalk at level 1 and drive him back. But because of the DD rune, it goes the other way.
Yeah.
And now Silent has a huge advantage.
Well, the DD is going to run out in about 15 seconds of time, and Icy forced to actually use the Sakuchi quite early. You got to keep in mind that Sakuchi has a very long cooldown at level 1, but he's juicing the trees. But yeah, this creep wave is silenced, and he is dominating right now.
Well, Icy did go heavy regen here. He picked up 4 sets of regen early, so it looks like for the time being he'll be okay, despite having to use a salve off the bat. And there are no sentries on the Clink, so keep that in mind. Goblak is in the aggressive tri-lane. They've got the Darkseer. I guess you can't really call it a tri-lane. It's more of just an off-lane Darkseer and a roaming Visage Enchantress. But here they come, up the river. Effing Mad and Goblak, 2 peas in a pod, looking to contest this pull of Rattlesnake. And the beauty of this is it's a Darkseer tri-lane. So the lane will push, and now they can dive the creep camp. And you look at Luo, level 1, not able to even approach the wave.
Yeah, they are doing a very excellent job shutting down this jungle so far. Chen comes in right now, but he's not going to be effective shutting down Enchantress. Enchantress will steal your creeps, and that's another bigger creeps going towards Quantic Psych. Notice that Effing Mad has skilled his Grave Shield, and that means that it's going to be an easy initiation for that Centaur. And also, Rattlesnake did expect offensive trialing by warding off this pull count to the left, and Enchantress should have a tougher time now finding bigger creeps. But, of course, she could always steal it from Chen, so maybe not so.
Yeah, smart reaction there by Rattlesnake to put the ward down. You should expect the aggressive trialing. Whenever you see a Clinks, 9 times out of 10, it's a safe lane Clinks and an aggressive trialing. So the one lane we haven't looked at yet is the Batrider mid versus the DK. And as you would expect, Lamb is not having a good time. Funzy, already sitting 9-6, should dominate this matchup, and so far he is. Yeah. Bottom lane, though, Icy maybe going deep, forces out Silent to go into Windwalk, but should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I do believe Silent's going to win this lane eventually, though. Salves are being popped, and I think he's going for a Basilius so far. Or no, he's going for Tranquil, I think, and he's delivering a little bit more regen. This spot lane is going to be a lot more heavy harass-based, and I think Icy, if he doesn't take too much flame arrows, he should come out ahead that.
Yeah, this is where if you're Icy, you really need that first regen item, the bottle, the Reina Basilius, because you can see his Sakuchi is already running quite low, and because he was forced to use all of his regen, that's 4 sets of regen, Lumi. That was 400 gold worth. He got 2 sets of tangos, 2 salves, and then he picked up 4 branches. So he has spent 400 gold in regen already. And what does he actually have to show for it? Just the bottle, I believe, which is coming soon.
Yeah, but the bottle will allow him to actually get a ton of runes. I think that the bigger thing for Rattlesnake to worry about right now is that Shadow Fiend has... I mean, he's level 3, which is okay. And this is where he is somewhat dangerous to dive against because he could always race down a couple of people. So, and I think really Shadow Fiend right now should pick up Boot of Speed because that is probably the most important survival item. Either that or at least Magic Stick. He cannot be dove upon and die.
Can't run from Surge, though.
Can't run from Surge. Yeah, that's why perhaps even Magic Stick is a little bit better in this scenario.
But he needs survivability. He cannot get greedy with his item choices. So now the solo lanes continue to unfold, and we see Quantic accruing a greater and greater advantage. The Clinks, this is where the lane gets very easy for him. Once he hits level 3 and gets close to level 5, Weaver really can't do much. He can't trade blows very effectively. Maybe if he pops the Swarm and the Sakuchi, he can do it for one Geminate attack, but then he's got to back off. And top lane, we'll have our first dive of the game. Luo in a bit of trouble. Ion Shell burning him to bits, but it's not going to be enough to kill him off yet. Still Sakshka giving chase. Sagem comes in for the backside. There is a level 2 raise available. No Impale being attempted. It's only a level 1 Nyx. And if he's level 3 there, maybe even level 2, maybe they make a go, but nothing they can do against Sakshka, not with the level 1 Nyx.
Sagam's got to be very careful in terms of how he was using his Impale. He just threw one out for basically harassment purposes, and that's Q time for Quantic to make a go. They're very lucky that Shadow Fiend did not give up First Blood there. So Sagam, hopefully that he did not overcommit, and make sure that he saved his spell. Basically, mostly for defensive purposes. He can't really just go on the offensive unless somebody's out of position horribly.
You know, if you're Rattlesnake here, your Weaver's probably not going to be able to do much against Clinks now. Silence hit level 5, but you can see every single fire arrow, every single searing arrow does so much damage. But you have the option of getting an early TP on Icy, and if he TPs to the top lane at the right moment, they could completely punish a Quantic dive and maybe pick up 2 or even 3 kills. So I think if you're Weaver here, this is where Icy, the lane's pretty much over for you. You can try and put some harassment out.
He might actually... He's forcing out Windwalk from Silent. Silent's actually out of regen.
But he's level 6 now. They're diving top lane, though. It could be our first blood. No, not yet. Just some simple harassment from both teams. The creep probably going to be juggled back and forth, now taken over, and it's thrown the other way, and Goblek's on the run. Kabu with the shenanigans. First blood to Rattlesnake. Fucking mad, dropping low as well. Sagem might be the next to fall. It could be a 2-for-1. It will be. Will it be a 3-for-1? It is. And Rattlesnake pull one out of the hat on the back of a magnificent creep steal. All the credit in the world to Kabu there.
Yeah, and now suddenly, if you are looking at Rattlesnake, level 5, now level 6 on Luo, and of course Chen's hitting level 4 as well. The tri-lane is done for Quantic, and you will see the immediate rotation away from that tri-lane. Darkseer's going to go back, but Go Black, he's going back to his own go. Visage is probably going to go in bot lane to help things out. This tri-lane started horribly for Quantic. Let's see how they can recover. Again, the key factor we said that Quantic needs to do is win the early game and win it hard. They're not winning the early game right now.
Now, generally, when you run an aggressive tri-lane, it's not just to win the tri-lane. It's to set up your solos for success. And despite the fact that they give up 3 kills there, they do have a Batrider farming well mid. They do have a Clinks farming well bottom. As they make a go on Lamb mid, Flame Break's there. Beautifully placed. They have a lasso here as well.
Sagam.
No lasso thrown out. Now Sagam lurching forward. He does have access to Carapace. He pops it. Funzy dropping low. Lamb first to fall. There's still a Carapace, or rather a lasso here, but Sagam on the way out. One more hit. The stun comes in from Kabu. Won't matter. Quantic picks up 2 of their own. Make it 3-3. 6 minutes in.
Sagam mistimed on his Spike Carapace because he did not chain them well with that Dragon Tail. If he did, they would have got that kill before the Magic Stick came out. So just tiny mistakes like those kind of turned the gank around. If it weren't for that, it would be a Batrider death instead of a Dragon Knight as well as a Nyx Assassin death.
So generally when we see Funnick play the Clinks, he goes for the early Tranquil Boots, I believe, and Reina Vakila sometimes, and then he goes straight into the Orchid. So Silent right now might just be rushing the Orchid naked. He's sitting on, well, he's going to have his first Oblivion staff now. So this Orchid, we could see it, I want to say, by like the 13-minute mark at the rate he's going.
Yeah, and that's very dangerous, right? Even if, you know, you're Weaver or you're Shadow Fiend, you're going to be very afraid of that Orchid gank. And you said the Sakushi Harass is not really doing enough. 2 Flame Arrows brings Icy down to about half HP.
Meanwhile, though, top lane, the trap has been set. They want Luo. Surge is there, Lasso as well, and now double Ion Shell will burn him down in a quick hurry. Luo, one more hit, down she goes. Great early movement from Quantic, and this is why you hate to give up Batrider, you hate to give up Darkseer, because they have this kind of power in the mid game.
Yeah, and I mean, really, Lamb can't really punish for Batrider leaving lane because he already used his ultimate. Generally, when the enemy solo mid leaves the lane, he just pushes, but ultimate's on cooldown right now, so that's why Batrider could make that safe rotation without worrying too much.
FA Mad was being hunted, or rather hunting Icy on the bottom lane, but Icy barely able to time-lapse and Sakuchi out. Meanwhile, though, the trap has been set, and now maybe they'll make a go on Sakshka here. They need 1 Centaur stun. And a few raises could potentially find a kill. There's your stun. Can they get this around? 1 raise, the second raise off the mark, canceled it in, cast again, and Luo jams it in. Give him another kill in this top lane. Your Shadow Fiend got nothing for the first few levels. All of a sudden, 36-3, your second highest farmer in the game, and well, he's doing well in terms of levels too, Lumi. He's level 8 against an aggressive tri-lane.
Ooh, this is very reminiscent of some of the East Asian team and Chinese team. Sometimes they just group up as 4 and just push. Like 8 minutes in, the enemy just simply do not expect it. And we haven't really talked about the counter pushing of Quantic. It's non-existent. How do you stop this push? You have, you know, Batrider, Flame Break, and all that stuff. But they're ramming on your tower right now with Lamb.
It's literally Flame Break, Firefly, and whatever Darkseer can do. But Darkseer is not a great counter pusher. His Vacuum right now, only level 2. They take a tier 1. And if you're a Rattlesnake, you keep on going. You'll go for a tier 2 here. And Quantic, at best, I think they trade.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to trade, but they're not really good pushing themselves. Funzy wasn't really defending top. He wasn't really pushing mid. Weaver's kind of playing around silent on the bot lane, so he's not getting his tower push. And there's nothing defending against this big push coming their way right now. Those Iron Shell just, well, they're not on creeps anymore because the creeps are dead, and of course this Dragon Knight's doing all tons of damage on this tower. I think they should back off now. They're not going to get this tower kill, but hey, that's a tier 1, and that's a ton of damage on that tier 2.
They're sending home Lamb. They'll get it one more hit, and then he goes back to the base. If you're Quantic, it's all about buying time for 2, maybe 3 big items. The Blink Dagger on the Batrider, the Orchid on the Clinks, I would say that's the most important one, and then perhaps the mech on the Darkseer, although Sakshka, only 38-1, 9 minutes in, it's going to be a very delayed mech for him. But until they get these items, they can't really take team fights. There's just no way.
Well, unfortunately, with that Dragon Knight doing that extra 1 or 2 hit because he was doing sandbag, that got the tower denied, so that was a little bit unfortunate.
Maybe they just wanted the tower down.
Maybe.
But normally you don't want to give those away as denies.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they're going to transition to a mid push. I'm not sure whether they can get this push because they don't have the element of surprise. Everybody's already there to defend this. And more importantly, they don't have Dragon Knight ultimate form. So I think Rattlesnake should go back and start farming in the jungle because you have Shadow Fiend, you have DK. These are decent jungle farmers.
Funzy prepping with the Firefly. He'll look to slow down this push mid, and Firefly, very potent counter push ability while it's up, but still, it's not killing the Shadow Fiend. Even Kabu's right-clicking on the tower for all he's worth. Now Lamb coming back in. Remember, while this is happening, the Clink slowly getting closer to his Orchid. Oblivion Staff 1 up, and Silence on the move. He's left the bottom lane. You almost never see this from Funnick. He'll stay, and he'll farm until he has it, but Quantic feeling the heat, rotating their Clinks off of the safe lane farm. They want to get involved now.
No, Weaver's here in Viz as well, so everybody on this mid lane, we're going to see a 5v5 mid. Of course, there is a Darkseer up top, still creep skipping, trying to get a little bit split pushing around. He does have a teleport scroll, and I think the key thing for me to point out right now is that Quantic is very close to mech on Sakshka. Sakshka?
Sakshka.
Sakshka. Sock.
You're getting there, Lumi.
Because once he has his mech, suddenly all these early game pushes are not going to work for Rattlesnake anymore. So Quantic have to kind of deal with it for about a minute or so, but once that passes up and once they have the mech, they should be completely fine.
Yeah, they'll have the mech soon for him. The one thing I didn't really like there was silent rotating, because Clinks is just not going to offer much in these team fights until he gets his Orchid. So he goes back to bottom lane. Silent will continue to farm, but to me, this is priority number 1. They've got the Blink Dagger on Batrider. That's great. They need the Orchid on Clinks, and that's where if you're Quantic, you have your mech, you have your Orchid, you have your Blink, then you go and start to take some fights. Rattlesnake, they've got 3 cores. They'll be farming regardless, but you can pick off the Shadow Fiend, you can pick off the Dragon Knight, and you can slow down the aggression.
Yeah, also, Silent right now should be very aware that Icy is carrying a dust, and that generally means that either Icy wants to solo kill him, which is going to be very difficult, or that there will be a gank coming to his way very soon. So, should keep his HP high thanks to Death Pack.
Or maybe it's a tactical dust.
It's
a mind games dust.
I guess so.
You get the dust, and then he thinks like you thought, but there's no gank. They're just farming. And
that's
in fact,
so
that is
next
the case.
level, right? Yeah, I guess so.
I see you, mad genius, you. Smoke now picked up by our Chen, and speaking of mechs, which you mentioned earlier, Kabu not really that close to his. He's been playing that support role. It's the one downside to their draft. They do have a Buckler recipe for him now, but it's a bit of a greedier draft, running a Nyx as well as a Chen. So the mech will be delayed. Quantic are going to have theirs sooner. And speaking of Quantic, they're going bottom now. They just need a lasso here, and Icy should be dead to rights. There's 2 familiar stuns. Will they chain them right?
Oh.
They don't. Any time lapses out. Sakuchi cooling down. He's going to live. One more hit. Not enough. The hand of God comes through. Oh, that was a big mistake by Quantic. Should have been a guaranteed kill into a tower, but the lasso now wasted, and the blink dagger revealed as well.
Effing Matt had 2 familiar stuns, decides not to use it, and just went for the burst damage of the birds. I guess just miscalculated a little bit. They are going to get a tier 1 furthest, or will they? Here comes a rotation from the entire Rattlesnake team, although with the birds in the front line, yeah, it's hard to actually defend against the tower. Well, the tornado's going to come through. The burst is going to try to cancel that tornado with a stop. They're doing whatever they can to slow down this push and stop it completely, and so far, they have defended because here comes a Shadow Fiend TP.
You know, the fact that Silent rotated mid earlier to defend means that by the time he has Orchid, the Shadow Fiend may have BKB.
Yeah.
Luo already pretty much has his Mithril Hammer, then just needs the recipe. And once he has BKB, you can just 5-man. And I actually don't know what Quantic can do against that, except somehow gank you before you group up.
And now I like the Sentry being dropped when you're pushing against Invis heroes such as Cleans that's going to backstab you. You need that Sentry. Sock is going to be hanging on the left line here, trying to do something, but Glyph is going to get drawn out. And I think Lamb is going to easily burst down this particular
They've got to
tower.
find a good initiation here. They can't just go headlong. And who do you go on? Do you go on the Dragon Knight? Do you go on the Nyx? It'll be Quantic who gets gone on first. They jump in. They kill off Godblack. The Diabolical Genius is dead. The Dyer's Courier falls in the midst of this fight, but it's effing mad. Next in line, Rattlesnake overrunning Quantic here thus far. The Nyx did fall. Funzy on the retreat out. And while that's happening, well, they'll go back for a tower. So they'll take 2. They lose a courier in the process, and we can actually check what it had. Nothing was on the Rattlesnake courier there, so not the biggest loss, but I think the key thing for me, Rattlesnake taking towers, and the BKB is coming within a minute or 2 after the Clink's Orchid. Luo, almost BKB complete.
Yeah, I mean, we said that Rattlesnake, if they didn't want to do well against Quantic, they have to win the early game, and they have to rotate well. These are a marvelous rotation. One gank into a big push. Here comes a huge vacuum, but really there's just no follow-up. Saw going on the front line. He does not have that mech just yet here.
Vacuum into Grave Chill. Next level combo.
Well, they're bursting Lamb down, at least weakening him a little bit, and the push is now stopped. Lamb's going to be fine. He's... Oh, Funzy's giving chase out.
They're on the way out. Silent does have a fresh shiny Orchid. They need some kills here. Kabu, one more hit. Not dead yet. It's got to smoke as well. Will fall. I don't know how the Clinks found him there from around the trees, but somehow he did. Now Funzy on the hunt. Icy still retreating out. Luo as well. They won't be able to catch him. The BKB coming soon. He's about 700 gold away. So Rattlesnake, a little bit of an overextension. Quantic do find their first kill there since the Orchid pickup. But now the question is, can Quantic take some towers off of that?
Yeah, I think the next 3-4 minutes is very important for Quantic. If they could kill Shadow Fiend once or twice right here, and now you gotta expect that jump. Luo, a little bit out of position. Suddenly he will get bursted down. Where's the Magic Stick? No, Magic Stick's not gonna be enough. Hand of God comes in as well. Silence quite low. If Silence gonna get stunned, he is gonna get bursted down as well. So 1-for-1 trace so far, and you can see that Icy's on the chase against Sock. Sock should be okay, and he will be.
Gotta say, worth it. Tower there, not denied. Silent kills the Shadow Fiend. BKB delayed, and the tower down. And if you're Quantic, getting towers down is very important because that means more territory where Rattlesnake are not safe to farm, and it makes it a lot easier for them to find pickoffs with the Orchid and the Blink Dagger. Quantic, not really the best 5-man lineup for a while yet. Maybe if their Clinks gets 3 or 4 slotted, but for now, taking kills on the Shadow Fiend, delaying the BKB, and getting towers, that slows down the Rattlesnake 5-man.
Yeah, the kill made Shadow Fiend lose, a couple hundred gold, and he's definitely not farming when he's dead. So that was a swing of 400 or 500 gold for a BKB that could almost be up. Comparatively, if the BKB is up on Luo, like you said, I think Shadow Fiend is immortal this game.
Virtually, anyway. Of course, there is still Lasso. If Clinks gets the damage items, maybe not. But once he gets BKB, then you're in this awkward position where you can't Orchid him. You don't really have that much physical burst damage on the side of Quantic. The impetus will not go through the BKB. There aren't that many ways to kill him for a time. But Silent, he'll steal an illusion rune here. He'll harass and annoy Lamb, and he'll continue to hunt. Now they have to know he's heading towards Luo in the jungle. He's on his own for now, but if Batrider comes through, maybe they'll go for a kill for the time being. Well, they're
Luo.
hunting him. They do not want to let him get this BKB.
Luo
this
should know what's happening right now.
They
Luo's-
just saw him take that rune.
Yeah, Luo is in big trouble right now. He does have 1 charge on
He's
the wand.
dead.
He's
No way.
dead. 1 bottle? No.
And the gold, the experience, all of it to Silent. Beautiful movement. It was Rattlesnake's turn to move well in the laning stage, but now it's all been about Quantic. Great counter ganks, and that 2 deaths on the Shadow Fiend. You said, Lumi, if they get a few kills on Shadow Fiend, that's the recipe to get back in the game. And they've killed him twice.
Yeah.
Still no BKB.
And it's just hard to stop this, this Klings. And right now, Bat Rider is coming right in. Lamb is Shadow Blade up, and that's a big thing. He just jumped for Sagam.
What a jump. He's found Sagam on the backside. The Knicks in trouble, but he gets off Carapace. He will end up picking off 1. The Visage to fall. Everybody backed into the wall, into the familiar stuns. Nice chain stun here, but is it enough? Your Shadow Fiend all unloaded, and Quantic must retreat out now. Funzy low, ticking slowly to the bugs. Not dead yet. Beautiful triple raise from Luo. Still yet to find a single kill. Where's the cleanup? It comes from Lamb. He finds 1. He gets Flame Break, but not all the way back. And now they get 3 in the end. They clean up the
it's not over
Darkseer
yet.
as well.
Silence back to the fight. Silence gonna pick off Luo. Magic Stick as well as the Hand of God comes in.
There's a
Here
stun.
comes the Dragon Knight. Dragon Knight gets a stun on. They're gonna try to burst down Mia. Oh, but the Spirit's stunning, and I think he's gonna be okay. 1 more Flame Breath is gonna do it, but he does not have the mana. Silent comes in, picks off 1, and makes sure he gets out alive. Beautiful play here. Beautiful plays from both teams.
Yeah, a pretty even trade. I think the biggest thing for me there is that the Shadow Fiend died again, though.
He bought back, though. He bought back and then died. So he was, I want to say, 300-400 gold to that BKB. Now, oh no, Dragon Knight in the mid lane. He's going to invis up and try to get out of there. Very tanky thanks to his Dragon Blood armor. So that was
We
close.
could have seen him have a BKB by the 17-minute mark. And now, Lumi, with the buyback, it might not be 20 to 22 minutes, assuming he doesn't die again. The problem is, it's getting harder and harder to live because the Bat Rider is about to pick up his 4-staff. Funzy's going to get more mobile. Your Clinks, 1,300 gold. Silent working towards his next big damage item. Is anything on the courier for him? Not just yet, but their ability to burst the Shadow Fiend and pick him off and to find him anywhere gets easier. It gets easier to find that kill the longer the game goes. So if you're Rattlesnake, now you got to be quaking a bit in your boots. You do have a Tricore, but who's actually farming in this Tricore?
Exactly. Normally, I would say, hey, you know, your Shadow Fiend's dying a bit, you're okay because your Dragon Knight's doing well, your Weaver's doing well. But if we look at their farm, Weaver's got 700 gold in Strength Shard and an Urn. I mean, there's Shadow Blade on DK, which makes farming a little bit more difficult. And you can see that gank attempt is coming. Oh, but the bait. Look at these guys. They're ready. Oh,
They know
Icy
he's
though.
here, but will it matter? Icy dropping fast. He'll go down. And the bait, not very successful. Now, Silent coming back in. The chain stun needs to be right, and it will. And they'll get, honestly, a great trade for
I think
them.
that's okay, right? If you're running a Tricore lineup, you trade your Weaver, who's going Treads and Urn anyways, for a Bone Clinks. That's okay.
Yeah, but they underestimate this Clinks' killing power. You don't want to give away the Weaver. Ideally, he lives and you kill the Clinks.
Right. Well, can't ask for everything. But the thing is, when
They can't have their cake and eat it too.
yeah, I mean, Klings is their one row carry, and normally he will want to have a BKB by now because you're just snowballing so hard. But he's been dying in these engagements. So.
Yeah, if you're Rattlesnake, you're behind a bit here. We can actually take a look at the gold graph. It's been dead even all game. Gold-wise, experience-wise, we've had some ups and downs, but so far, very close.
Oh, Shadow
I
Fiend.
still think Rattlesnake has the significant edge if it goes
Shadow
late
Fiend.
enough, but another death for Luo, likely in the offing. Is there going to be a flame break? Nothing yet. There it flies, and now with the slow, it'll set it up. Another death for Luo. They've got a Hand of God, but it wouldn't matter anyway. Luo to fall yet again. Pops like a pinata. And Quantic, how many times have they killed him? 5 deaths, and I want to say 4 of them have been since that
Dragon
BKB
Knight.
was close. Now they jump in. They want to go on God Black. They're looking for Effie Mad as well. Icy on the hunt. The Weaver wants some kills. Won't find any blood yet. Just the familiars covering the path of retreat for Quantic. This Shadow Fiend, probably every single death has happened since he started getting close to his BKB. And now, well, he's got the Mithril Hammer, he's got 700 gold, so 22, 23 minutes. Once he has it, I still think it makes a huge difference. Some games, your late BKB is useless. I still think it's a big deal this game.
It's absolutely a huge deal. Now Silent ate a creep, and now it's looking for a little bit more of a hunting. I see. Oh, that's a free kill. Oh, I see. Lucky Sakuchi, and he gets out of there. I just want to point out how smart this Sentry Ward is over here on the top when they kill the Shadow Fiend. Like, Shadow Fiend did not have Shadow Play or anything. They dropped the Sentry because they know that Dragon Knight could probably come in with a counter initiation, and that's exactly what Rattlesnake did. If it weren't for that Sentry Ward, I think Quantic would have lost at least 1 or 2 heroes.
I still think Quantic haven't done enough yet. They've found a couple of kills. They've really delayed the Shadow Fiend, but Silent is not huge. As you pointed out, he's died a few times in his own right. They still haven't taken the tier 2s. Rattlesnake, ultimately, if it goes late enough, you do have to give them the damage, the DPS edge. They've got more carries for sure. Quantic have the better initiation, but eventually you get to a point where who do you go on? Do you go on the Nyx? If not, he carapaces, walks into Firefly, your Batrider probably gets caught. Do you go on the Dragon Knight?
right now.
There they go.
Yeah.
He's got a gem as well. Lamb could be in trouble. He Shadow Bladed in time. Now the dust comes out. That's going to be a gem hitting the deck. They back Icy back into the wall. And the gem, who's picked it up? I think it's still there on the ground. What happened to it?
I don't think there was a gem.
Oh, sorry. No, Icy picked it up. Icy picked it up in the middle of the fight.
Okay.
Great reaction by him.
Well,
Didn't even see him grab it, to be honest.
I mean, the question we say is, who do you focus when there's Tricore hero? But at the same time, you have Clinks and Batrider. These are two great heroes at removing a hero completely from the team fight just by going and killing them. So I think they have enough burst damage, at least for the next 5-10 minutes. So as long as they keep picking off Shadow Fiend, they keep picking off tier 2 towers, they should be fine. But speaking of that Shadow Fiend, he is going to have his BKB right about now.
How often do you see this? Luo, his own jungle is so unsafe that he says, screw it, I'm just going to walk up blind into the enemy jungle because I know they're pushing top and there's simply nowhere else for me to farm. They're looking to make a go on Sakshka. There's your Impale.
Oh,
Raise number 1 off the mark. That might be enough to get Sakshka out of here safely.
Mech?
He pops the mech. He's got a surge. He's going in for the kill. No, he's heading straight to the right. Sagam expecting the reaction back the other way. He's forced to TP out. And Sakshka, now he hides in the trees. Luo finds him. What a play. Wow. Wow.
I mean, there was only a limited amount of spot where he could have won, but it was an excellent guess.
There's spots here, there's spots over here. I mean, you have a general idea he's in this area, but that was a masterful raise.
Yeah, and you don't want to stay there too long if you miss those raises, because who knows what's going to be coming in. But Shadow Fiend sells a bottle, gets a BKB now, and he should be okay. But if you look at the Klings, he's also getting pretty fat. He's going to have his BKB in about 600 gold. Like, he's literally 1 hero kill away from that, so Silent's going to keep looking for those kills.
If this Shadow Fiend gets caught in his own, I think to the Clinks and the Batrider, I think he is still dead.
Well, I mean, if Clinks goes on you with his Orchid, you could just BKB, right? And that blocks.
Right, but the problem is Clinks, you look at how hard he's hitting just from his physical damage, 220 because of Death Pact. This is one of the more underrated aspects of Clinks is his Death Pact. Gives him a lot of physical damage. Early to mid-game, it's all about the Searing Arrows. It's about the Orchid, but when you get to level 15, 16, get the level 3 Death Pact, your right-clicks are immense, even without big right-click items.
Yeah, we're used to kind of the normal Death Pact, but it's something like you said earlier, Death Pact against Chen creeps. You get that extra oomph, and it's a lot more damage.
This thing's got 1,400 health. Yep. I'm not going to do the math offhand. Maybe Vic Raman can. He's doing the stats for us today. Thanks, Vic. But it's a lot of damage. We know that for sure. They've gone in bottom lane. They've tracked down Icy. Can they get the kill off? No, they won't be able to. Silent was hitting the tower there for a few seconds. Now the Flame Break comes through. The Orchid's about to end. Icy on the run. I think he's going to live. He barely escapes with his life.
Those 2 physical attacks that he landed on the creeps instead of on him, well, actually, because he backtracked anyway, so maybe not. It didn't matter.
Yeah, but they couldn't get the kill. But the big thing for me is Quantic is seizing more and more territory. The tower's in a lot of trouble here. And I think Quantic, no lasso, maybe they're going to back off. And in fact, Rattlesnake, they'll smoke into the pit. It's the gambit for them.
Wow.
They just saw lasso used. They figure Quantic will back off after this. They won't try to get aggressive until the lasso cools down.
The birds are coming in to scout things out, but I don't think...
Great anticipation. Quantic fully prepared. Will they get there in time, though? That's the question.
Yeah, Vendetta's going to be used right now on Sagam.
Funzy's got a flame break. He gets stunned. Dragon Tail's there in the face of Funzy. Down he goes. Now the carapace from Sagam. He'll catch out Sakshka. Look for the BKB Requiem. Unwinds it. Unloads it. Pops a lot of damage on the Sakshka. Then blows him up. Goblak on the run. Goblak in trouble. There's a buyback from your Batrider. Quantic cannot afford to give up this Roche. Chen picked off by 1 last soul assumption, but Goblak has fallen as well, and Luo is reigning supreme. Now they jump in. Where's that Clinks? Where's that burst? They need to kill Luo in a hurry. They can't quite yet. The lasso ends, and Lamb still stands strong. They'll find Effie Matt as well. That mini Beastmaster
to the right side, Funzy
doing work.
Funzy in big trouble. Funzy gonna get tracked up by Icy, and I do believe that was a 5-man team wipe.
And a buyback as well from Quantic there.
The only person that's surviving is Silent, popping his 10-second BKB and running away and not really going to do anything.
And it's a Roche to Rattlesnake.
Yep. Rattlesnake wins a huge fight where they lost their 2 support for 5 kills, and 3 cores are still alive, and they now get the Aegis on the Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend will pick up a Helm of Dominator as well. In my opinion, the best item he could pick up right now. It is a lot of armor for him against the huge damage output of Clinks, and more importantly, it's what an item allows you to kind of go toe-to-toe against that Clinks, allow you to get lifesteal back.
And once you have the Helm of the Dominator, you get that next item. If you don't die to lasso, you're not dying, because you will just right-click through Quantic. While your BKB is up, only the Clinks can really hurt you. And what we're seeing in these fights as well is just great decision-making by Rattlesnake. I love the fact that that was very confident and very poised for them. They see Lasso was used bottom lane, they don't get a kill on Weaver, straight into the pit.
Yep.
And normally if you go into the pit against Darkseer and Batrider, you're asking for trouble. But the timing was perfect. The decision making, that was a bold move, and they made it work.
This is not the same Rattlesnake we've seen in the qualifier matches. This team right now, through the rotation and kind of decision making, like we pointed out, just a lot better and a lot more poised. Although Silent is going to try to find Lamb. They both break out and Viz around the same time, but.
So now we're 27 minutes in. It's a 1,000 gold lead. At one point, it was close to 4,000. Still very close. Experience is even there as well. I think strategically, though, this has to be Rattlesnake's game right now. Not that they've guaranteed a win. You still have to go high ground eventually against Batrider and Darkseer. Very tough. The split push of a Clinks can stall it. It's not that Rattlesnake have it in the bag, but they're 5 mana stronger. They have 3 cores who finally start to get their farm. The Weaver, well, he'll go for a very late Lincoln Sphere, but hey, you get a Lincoln's, you can't be lassoed easily. Quantic a bit lacking in that single target lockdown. They've got the Orchid as well. That's really about it. And your Dragon Knight getting close to a BKB. You've got 3 cores who are finally starting to get their farm on.
And I mean, now you just slow down and basically say, Quantic, it's your game. You know, the ball's in your court. What do you do? Because you're not going to beat us late game. You don't really push that well. I mean, their best pushing is Enchantress and I guess Birds.
There is Clinks. Can't underestimate him.
Right, the backdoor is intense from him. But Clinks is now kind of roaming into deep enemy territory by himself. He just ran past the Central Ward. He's got to be very careful. Funzy, Fireflying. He does have a gem, 4 staff, as well as Blink. So whoever he isolates probably will debit.
Is this where I just follow camera the Batrider?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. As well as Silent.
Even trying to track him manually is tough when he's got that surge up. He's going up and down the cliffs. The Firefly is down, though. And at least for this moment, Quantic will back off. But they have a gem, a 4 staff, and a Blink Dagger on the Batrider. They've got their BKB and Orchid on the Clinks. I don't know that they get a whole lot stronger.
This is the strongest point in my opinion.
They can get stronger, but when they get when they gain 10%, Rattlesnake probably gains 30 to 50.
Right. I mean, this is the mid game that we talked about, right? Where Luo just one-shot those birds for free, so it's not going to be as big of a deal in team fights. That's when Nyx Assassin starts to get a little bit more level. Mana Burn against your Darkseer is always annoying. Your Spike Carapace against your Darkseer as well as Bat, that's very annoying for them to play as well. So I really think that Quantic needs to get something done in the next 5-10 minutes. Last time I said that, they got multiple kills against Shadow Fiend, and they delayed this kind of stage of the game where they're not as strong at. And they have to keep doing it because Shadow Fiend is only going to get stronger and stronger. He's saving up a lot of gold, maybe perhaps for buyback. That's really playing safe. I think he could just at least finish the helm, but he just wants to have that Morbid Mask.
Yeah, I think Casual Morbid Mask is very cost efficient as well, though. If he feels he doesn't need the armor, they do have a mech up on the Chen at this point, so he's got some additional armor that way. 10 armor is not horrible by any means, but the Quantic wave right now, it's crested, and the question is, will it recede or will there be a second wave for them? They are working towards some additional items. They're trying to find these pickoffs, but Rattlesnake, they've got such a good split push now.
I'm just watching Rattlesnake. They try to 5-man deward this Ancient camp, and they just can't find this. So they went there as 5, couldn't get the deward, and now they go back.
Well, that's happening. Our first missed kill of the International 3. Hopefully not many more to come. The Weaver does get picked off top lane. Solo kill from Silent, and that's before... Oh, we're going to have an initiation mid. They've jumped in on effing mad. The pipe deployed, the mech as well, but a 2-hero impale from Sagem. They've caught Sakshka in a bit of a problem here.
Body block from Lamb.
Lamb's got the stun. It's cooling down. He doesn't get it off, though, and he will be driven back. Oh, that was narrowly 2 down.
Yeah, that was
great. Weird. Great body block attempted, but good escape there from Sakshka as well, finding a path where there seemed to be none.
Meanwhile, Lamb sees Silent, the 2 Invis heroes snagging a rune away from each other. Lamb will pick up that illusion rune. But that was a very, very important flame break that Batrider tossed out, because if they kill the Darkseer, you gotta keep in mind that both mech and pipe was already deployed, and if Rattlesnake picks up like 1 or 2 extra kill there, that would have been the mid tier 2 and perhaps even a tier 3 being sieged down. So a very important kind of save for Quantic. They dodge a bullet there, but in this game, I think a lot of it is still in the hands of Rattlesnake. They are a lot stronger in terms of hero potential. They're a lot stronger now in terms of item progression. It is 2,000 gold Quantic lead, but to me, they're down by quite a bit.
They have very different needs right now. Quantic need to continue to find pickoffs and put pressure on Rattlesnake. They want to wait for this Aegis to expire. There's a minute left, and so Rattlesnake will smoke up and start looking for trouble. They're cruising for a bruising here. They'll head down as 5, down the river, up into the Radiant jungle, wrapping around his Lamb. He's got Dragon Tail. He's ready to go. This Dragon Knight wants to rock and roll. Find effing mad. Look for the Luo Requiem. Not coming yet. Effing mad down. That's 1 dead. The Aegis still online. And Quantic retreating out. If they only lose a Visage, they'll consider that a nice trade. But Funzy can't blink. He'll be forced staffing himself down. They get 1 The Aegis now will expire. Honestly, it could have been a lot worse for Quantic.
Yeah, but they're going to get a tier 2 tower there as well. Glyph being forced out. You can see on the top lane here, Silent trying his best to get a split push going on. He's going to draw a couple of TPs. Oh, the backdoor protection doing some work right now.
I don't know if they have this, and now the Flame Break comes through. It's going to delay the auto attacks. Now the back deployed Rattlesnake desperately hunting for this. The Aegis is down. They need to get the hell out now, and they will do so. Silent still pushing, but Funzy's on the hunt. He wants to catch the straggler. Who are they going to go on? Nobody in the end. Funzy hunting, can't find the kill. Oh boy. Well, a crisis averted there.
Oh, maybe not here. Force that forward. Funzy finds the Kabu. Kabu may be running fast with a dude with a cup, but not fast enough for Funzy. But
Fear the cobbled foreman. Fear the cobbled foreman. Maybe not. That is such a sad creep to be walking around with at this stage of the game.
He's such a boss. He has a goblet.
Got to go fast.
Yeah, he goes fast.
The problem is that that creep dies in like 3 hits.
Yeah.
So
AO would nuke him down. Icy does finish the Lincolns. That's pretty good.
And now there's 4K gold up on Silent, but this Lincolns that you mentioned is a big pickup because now Icy, he can split push freely, and they need to bring 2. They've got to bring the Batrunner and the Clinks, most likely if they want to kill him. Else, he'll simply time-lapse out. He won't be easily caught by that Orchid or that Lasso.
Yeah, they're going to try to get a little bit of revenge kill on this tier 2. Chen does not have his army. He's still dead for a couple of seconds, but here comes Rattlesnake thinking about counter-initiating. I'm not sure about Lamb, but Lamb very tanky now with the playmail on top of it. Is he thinking about it?
There's no lasso here, but Rattlesnake will make the first move. They jump in on Goblack. There is a gem up on Funzy. Lamb, BKBs. He hasn't popped his ult yet for some reason. Now he'll go on Sakshika, but 4-step back. Here's your Shadow Fiend ult. Has the Eagle Song dropping fast to the Clinks on the backside. Nobody focusing Silent. Luo trying to juke. There's a lasso now, but the Carapace stuns Funzy, holds him in position. He can't get off anything. Sorry, that was a Dragon Tail, not a Carapace, but it looked like an easy Shadow Fiend pick, and it was not in the end. But now, here comes Silent again.
How hard will he go?
He's got a DD rune.
How ham will he go? Because he has a DD right now, and he will two-shot everybody.
How hard will he ham? That's the question for Silent. He finds a gem as well.
All right.
He'll pick it up, but can he defend the base push? Here it comes from Rattlesnake. 3 dead. Are there buybacks available? No buyback on Batrider. On the Enchantress, nothing right now. The Visage respawning soon, so we won't worry about him. Already the tier 3 falls. Rattlesnake, the first game in the wild card best of 5, looking for their first lane of Rex, and they're going to get it. They might lose this fight, but they're still getting a Rex. 1 lane of Rex down. Now they look to retreat out, and if you're Quantic, you cannot let this bad deed go unpunished. They're hunting. They've got the gem. They'll look for a pick off here. Runs right into Rattlesnake. Still hunting.
He can't go.
He wants to. Who do you go on? There's a Ghost Scepter on the Chen. You can't really go on them when they're grouped up as 5. And Quantic, they lose a Rax for Zilch.
I mean, the team told him to actually pick up the gem, which is, I guess, a safer thing to do. But when he was picking up the gem, the double damage was running out, so he couldn't actually go for the big trade. And to be completely honest, he can't 1v5 the team.
He could have maybe backdoored the tier 2 mid with that gem.
Yeah.
But, or with that double damage.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the smarter move, but
I think if you're Quantic, you can't just give up a Rax like that. Unfortunately, they maybe didn't realize quickly enough that they didn't have buybacks or that they just weren't going to be able to take that fight. So now Rattlesnake, up a lane of Rax. There's a Butterfly coming soon on Luo, assuming we don't see him go full Dendy and pick up an Ethereal Blade. And this, to me, is very much a Butterfly.
Would it be bad this game against Clings?
Yeah, that's true. It wouldn't be bad, but you get the B-Fly. That's great against Clinks as well.
Yeah.
There's no Hex on Quantic. There's no way to remove this evasion from the Shadow Fiend, and he's just picked something up.
Well, Silent.
It will be the Butterfly.
Silent is going for MKB next because he has a Demon Edge. I mean, honestly, I maybe want to consider that the EB was a little bit better of an item choice, but
it's definitely I think
a little bit out there.
Luo's more of your standard player. I don't know if he would have considered it, but hey, that's where maybe Dendy would have.
Yeah, well, Butterfly is finished, and of course it gives you a ton of armor, attack speed, and of course the evasion, which is still good against the rest of the team. Let's not forget about that. So Luo is definitely a scary beast to deal with. We talked about Weaver with the Lincoln Sphere, could split push all day. And how well has Lamb been playing so far? Just initiating kind of balls to the wall, and he is doing a ton of work as well.
We've really seen what happens when Batrider does not have BKB. He gets Dragon-tailed, he gets Carapaced. He cannot just jump in. If Funzy had his BKB, I think these fights would have gone much differently. But unfortunately, Funzy, he just died a few too many times. He just hasn't quite found the kills, the farm, to get his BKB. Once he gets it, the problem then becomes, sure, now you've got the BKB, you can initiate safely, but can you actually kill anyone in time?
This is a big jump right now for Quantic. If they could pick off a couple of Rattlesnake members, they will get the Roshan.
They've got their MKB.
Yeah, and they got their MKB as well. So this is a huge team fight coming up. Rattlesnake how many buybacks do they have? That's a question as well. Centaur comes in, and Centaur gets Ion Shell, so he does scope out a couple guys, and that was absolutely huge. And now Rattlesnake will have a slight idea what the enemy team is. I
was definitely looking in the wrong place there, but the Centaur does come in. Rattlesnake now positioning near the Roshan pit. They find Silent.
Oh,
There's a new gem on Sagam, and now they stun him up. They look to impale him down. They're kiting him. They're slowing him. They back 4 to the low ground. Sakshka, what a play. Now Luo, plink. He's dropping quick from the high ground, but not dead yet. They've got to roam as a pack. They have to protect Luo at all costs. There's a Blink. There's a last one Lamb. Luo's still alive, though. They're standing and fighting it together. They pick off 3. An incredible vac from Sakshka, but nothing to follow it up. Triple kill of all heroes. It goes to Icy's Weaver. And now Quantic, they most likely forfeit the Roche here.
Oh no, Lamb is forced that forward. He finds Silent, and Silent gonna stun him. He doesn't have BKB this time, and he will go down. Again, this is a huge team fight because Rattlesnake now will get the Aegis. And the second Aegis, either on Shadow Fiend or Weaver or Dragonite. I just don't know how much gas Quantic is left. They are stranded in the desert. The meters at E, which is empty. And
no gas stations in sight.
Nope.
There's no water.
Nope.
It's hot. You're sweating. You want to take a nap, but you might not wake up. And now Quantic, they'll try to struggle on here, soldier on, if you will. But realistically, Luo up to 1,700 gold has a fresh Aegis. You can't go on him. You can't really go on Lamb because he's so damn tanky. Hell, you can't go on the Weaver because Icy's got a Linken's. And if you don't go on the Chen, he heals and sends back whoever you want. You have a single target initiation driven lineup. You have a Bat Rider who's supposed to lead the way for you. But he can't really initiate that well anymore. There's just no easy prey. This looks like Rattlesnake should be able to farm up their next set of items and go for the second lane of racks. And if they do that, Lumi, they'll be leading Quantic 1-0, and a lot of people might be on their way to losing some rares here today.
Yeah, well, if I bet my rares, I will be definitely losing some because...
Of course, it's only game 1 of a best of 5.
Right,
but if it continues like this...
I mean, also, I think winning your first game... Nobody won the game yet, but winning the first game in a best of 5 series, what message does it send to a losing team, right? It's a huge morale strike. And against a team that relies on creativity and some kind of wonky draft, such as Quantic, that could be a big blow. Maybe you force himself to not draft. Can we go crazy? Can we go full crazy mode? Winning your first game and losing your first game emotionally means a lot.
If you're Goblack, that's where you say, okay, I'm picking Timbersaw, and I'm picking Tree, and I'm picking OD, and you can't ban them all.
Right.
We'll see, though. We'll see.
We'll see.
It hasn't come to that just yet. Now Quantic will farm up these next items. For them, I feel a lot of it is just catching Rattlesnake out of position. I don't think they can take a team fight head on anymore. 5v5, we've pretty much seen what happens unless they get an amazing Darkseer wall. That's always the X factor here. The Dragonite, the Shadow Fiend, 2 of the better carries in the game to get illusions of. You get their auras, so you get the Shadow Fiend presence of the Dark Lord, you get the Dragonite to self-harass.
Force that forward here. Goblack getting caught by himself. Double damage is going to get secured by Neo. And Goblack normally just, he's really good positional-wise. Gets stranded by the river by himself. And could this be the second lane of racks? Let's not forget that Weaver has also picked up a Desolator and minus armor galore because between him and Shadow Fiend, that's a lot already.
Yeah, and you're going to have your Salkara soon. So this is where there's even more pressure on the Darkseer. Sakshka, a big wall. I mean, hell, Lumi, we can never count out wall. Not after that Mouse Virtus Pro game and the Corsair Summer Tour.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Darkseer, hardest carry in the game if he gets the perfect vac wall. But can Sakshka do it? It's going to be tough against Rattlesnake.
I mean, he doesn't need to get the perfect one. You got to keep in mind that Shadow Fiend Illusion as well as Dragonite's Illusion both carry the AC Aura as well as the Shadow Fiend Presence of Dark Aura. So you're getting free minus armor for your Klings. That's a pretty big deal if you get a good enough wall.
Yeah, you need a good wall. You got to catch them both, and ideally you have to position it such that Rattlesnake can't just skirt around it. So now Rattlesnake, they still have their Aegis online. They'll have this next item coming soon on Luo. Satanic, a likely choice for him. We'll see what he chooses, but I think if you're Rattlesnake, you really try and take 2 lanes of racks here. You go for the second lane of racks before the Aegis expires. Your team is strong now, and you can get stronger, but why let Quantic back in the game? Why give them any rays of hope? Go and end it now if you can.
Well, they got to be somewhat careful because BKB is now up on the Bat Rider. Sure, he's going to still get right-clicked through by everybody on Rattlesnake, but at the same time, he's not going to get stunned by the Spike Carapace that we've seen so much. I mean, Neo has made slightly stunning mistake or being somewhat out of position in early game, but making him team fights, he has shined so much.
It does go back. It does beg the question though. Who do you go on? Because you can't really go on Luo. He's got Aegis. Do you go on the Dragonite? Well, they will. They'll lasso him now. They'll pull him back. There's a vac wall available. Lamb really caught out of position here, but he got his BKB off in time. The wall deployed. Luo says, "Let's fight like men." Here we go. Unwinds the ult. Icy finds a kill. Sakshka on the run. One more hit would bring him down. They're really chasing for these. They get 2. They get the clinks. The Darkseer's gonna live. 2 down, probably 2 lanes of racks down, and Rattlesnake looks like they're on their way to taking game 1 here. The tower should be falling soon. Is there any fight left in this Quantic dog? Another stun on Fonzie and the deeps. The deeps are too much. It's Helm's Deep right now for Quantic, being overwhelmed by a swarm of Rattlesnakes.
They're not hitting the Raxus, they're hitting buildings. I'm not sure what's going on right now.
They'll get it now. They'll get it now.
They're losing a lot of HP, but everybody else is dead. GG gets called, and the celebratory dude with the cup right now is drinking in the middle of everything. I just want to put the camera on this guy, because he is so boss.
Oh, I only caught him at the end there, Lumi.
That's good, that's good.
So, game 1 goes to Rattlesnake. 63-37 were the odds, but Rattlesnake played better.
Yeah, they played so well.
Played really well.
I mean, what was the turning point in the game for you? Was it the sneak into the Roshan after the lasso was on cooldown?
I think that was it. I think that was the play that decided the game, and that takes some balls, because they went into the pit against Darkseer and Batrider, and that's something you naturally like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Not if the game's close. But they knew that Lasso was down, and they took a chance.
For me, it was a little bit earlier. I think 8 minutes in, when they're sieging a tier 1, they sieged a tier 2, and which got eventually denied. That's fine. They went mid. Forced Funzy to rotate, or forced the Klings to rotate, and Klings didn't get much harm. They pushed down tier 1 as well, and then they rotate bot. So they just put on a lot of pressure for a 3-core lineup consisting Shadow Fiend, Dragon Knight, and Weaver. You don't expect them to pressure you. You expect Quantic to be rolling the ball, right? But that didn't happen. So I think the way that Rattlesnake sees the early game with not really early game heroes, that's when it kind of clicked for me.
And that tri-lane, I mean, we could even go back farther.
Yeah.
I don't want to steal all the analysis here, but the tri-lane, they gave up a triple kill early in a lane that I think they should have won. Great creep steal there, but had something like that not happen, maybe the game goes the other way. So, Purge, Merlini, you're back in action. What did you think of game 1?
Man, that was like really back and forth, especially the first 15 minutes of the game. It went from like Rattlesnake. All right, Quantic was winning the tri-lane, and then Rattlesnake got the triple kill in exchange for 1, and then Quantic got some advantage, and then it swung back, and then it swung back down again. It was all over the place, I thought.
All right, well, my prediction goes down the drain.
Yeah,
but
you lose.
So
my rares!
The beginning was very weird. Like they had so much advantage in the triple lane. They had Darkseer with Ion Shell. Like they stole so many creeps. They had a huge experience advantage, but just a little bit of miscalculation there. 3 for 1 against a Shadow Fiend. That's not really where you want to be, because you want to be able to put pressure on all 3 of their lanes. They weren't like the strongest lanes, and I think they could have abused that fact, but as soon as Batrider got his blink, things changed a little bit, but then the BKB, they missed 2 really important kills on Weaver, either due to lack of coordination, not having detection, and then that Roshan pit, as they talked about, really sealed the fight. I thought that it was a really nice vacuum, but the wall was cast up the hill, and I guess he didn't expect it them to go down. That fight may have gone differently. It might have been like a little bit too late, but without that fight and with losing that Roshan fight and the buyback, it was just not good.
Yeah, the team fights got really sloppy towards the end of the fight. I thought, like, even the last fight, for example, like Silent used strafe, but he didn't BKB in time, and he got Dragon stunned. Yeah. That was kind of the...
He didn't strafe and didn't kill that Chen.
Yeah, that was very early on in the game. He had strafe and treads, I believe, and the Chen just walked past him, and he did a little orb walking, but he had 1 level of strafe, and I was like, why didn't he strafe that guy? It was really frustrating, but I don't know. It seemed like there was some sloppiness from both teams. Definitely a lot of sloppiness.
Rattlesnake looked like they didn't, like 10 to 25 minutes, they didn't seem like they played Berserk before. They just kept getting picked off. BKB was delayed by so long.
Yeah, the Shadow Fiend definitely got massively delayed. He was so close to it, but
he had such a good start.
Yeah,
he had some very nice raises, though.
I mean, I think strategically that was a game that Quantic really needed to dominate the laning stage. They should have won that tri-lane heavily. Shadow Fiend should not have been level 8, tied with the solos at like 7 minutes into the game. Had they done that, and had they just gotten the early BKB on the Clinks, he didn't go to fight mid early, I think the game would have turned out much better for them.
They couldn't have, they didn't need to lose those towers early. That really just, like, they can't do that.
Yeah, they had the pressure lineup. They were winning the safe lane as Clinks. He was crushing his lane. The Batrider mid was doing really well in his lane.
He should have been doing better, though. The Batrider should have done better versus the DK, and maybe Blitz mentioned this as well. He's like, if they just would have given... If somehow they could give the Clinks a sentry, he would have just stomped his lane 100%. Like, you saw how much regen. He got a huge regen advantage versus the Weaver based on that DD pickup. And then if he just would have guaranteed connected every right click, there's no way Weaver could stay in the lane.
They lacked on detection in general, though. They got the lucky gem pickup on the DK on top lane, but just like seemed the Sentry Ward would have really helped him. Yeah. He should have won that lane.
It would have been tough to get it, like even still, especially at the start of the game, giving a Sentry Ward at the start of the game rather than
when you go aggressive too.
Yeah, it's probably not possible, but I think they probably should have won the mid lane a little bit better, and I think the safe lane did okay. But I mean, props to Silent for getting so many good ganks off in the mid game. He really did pull the team together because of like multiple kills on Shadow Fiend. He killed Weaver a couple times. It was hard for him to find other kills, but I don't know. He did a pretty good job.
So what do you think Quantic needs to do in order to regain their footing and take a couple games
I think
off
they just
Rattlesnake?
need their ganks to be a little bit more crisp, because if they would have gotten the kills on the Weaver and snowballed a little bit from that, I think they could have possibly won the game. I mean, Klinks was a dominant hero most of the time, but you have to continue snowballing past the Orchid. If you don't, the BKB isn't enough. You need a damage item past the BKB where you can actually start 5-shotting heroes, or a little bit less if possible. So
I think they needed to like dominate with Bat like the whole game. He had like times where he was shining, but Bat is just one of those heroes that you just have to go crazy with, especially versus a matchup like DK. You can get your blink and possibly even an early solo kill, and you can just like run over to triple lane, just run over everybody, get your blink, and I mean, you can almost keep them from getting their BKBs so like 30 minutes in.
yeah, so keep in mind, guys, this is a best of 5. So first game is going to go to Rattlesnake. We will see if Quantic can come back. Everybody in the house here, at least, is hoping. Those of us that actually voted for them, but
I'm hoping for Rattlesnake. I'm a Rattlesnake fan. Kawa's a believer, and he's the one with all
Kawa
the power.
just likes Asians.
So. Yeah, Kawa does like Asians.
So
by the way,
I bet against the Rattlesnake of the past, the Rattlesnake of today. I might have to switch her back to the.
oh, we're gonna flip flop now.
Oh,
You're gonna be like that?
Lumi, no conviction.
What happened though? Once you got black,
Bandwagon.
never go back.
No. I say
What?
I might have to go back.
Once you
Wow.
got black.
But
What's the saying again?
To me,
once you got
still
black.
Quantic. Still Quantic. I think Quantic
Once you go
is,
black,
Once you go black, you go back.
You can't go
Once
back.
you go black, you
don't
go back.
You don't go back, and I don't. I'm just saying Quantic. I don't know.
Lumi, I'm disappointed.
It is the first game. It is probably they're probably like all really tense and nervous because
No.
if they lose this, they're out of the qualifiers.
Before the game, multiple Quantic members says we're very confident.
Yeah.
And they just get stomped game 1. It's not stomped, but you know.
It's still
They lose
there's
game
like
1. Yeah, they lost.
there's like hundreds of thousands of people watching this
So?
game. You ain't scared?
You shouldn't be scared.
They're relaxed. They're comfortable. They're
Yeah.
at the West End. They've got a nice
They're
view.
just faking it.
The
They're
shades
faking
are
their
down though, so
confidence.
they don't get to enjoy it. They should be fine. I don't think you. It's not like they're on the stage, Ben. I mean, they're in a hotel like ballroom type thing. So, is the pressure really getting to them?
Yeah.
Do you think that's it?
Could
Nerves?
be. It's first game. First game of a really big tournament, and if they lose this, they don't play in the international. That's a big deal, right? If you lose group stage, just like whatever, right? You just get seeded a little bit poorly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you lose this, you
Let's
don't
throw all the
play for
marbles.
the next 5 days or next like 8 days, whatever.
it's definitely a lot more close than the wildcard match was last year. That was a really fast 3-0. So at the very least, I'm sure Quantic can win at least one of these games.
Yeah,
It
that graph was
definitely
like,
close
whoop.
enough.
And this is already a better series than that was. I mean, Mouse vs. World Elite. We all liked the old Mouse sports. They were a lot of fun, but that was one of the worst Dota series you will ever see.
Why are we hating on mouse?
It was so
No,
hype.
it was just
what are you talking
a
about?
boring stomp.
Whatever.
a
It was
horrible
It was a
boring
fun
stomp.
stomp. I don't care.
Yeah,
It was
Birch
like
was casting
it was like a
it.
team.
Well, you were casting it.
Yeah,
that's why.
I genuinely enjoyed casting that series. I didn't like find that boring at all. It was like
I found it
don't know.
very
Maybe it's
boring.
because I was rooting for Mouse because nobody knew WE that well, but like they didn't think they were gonna play, and all of a sudden they have the chance. Like it's such a cool storyline. I don't know.
The
I thought it
storyline
really
was
fun.
great. Games were shit.
and that's why it was fun.
Well-
I saw Blink Dagger Enigma with a triple like black hole. Oh my god, that moment was great. Whatever.
What came out of that storyline was
I'm a
also
hater.
Sexy Bambo got the lowest point in the fantasy league. Which, by the way,
Can anyone top or is it bottom him? Can anyone get worse of fantasy points than Sexy Bambo? It's a different scoring system this year, though.
yeah.
I'm sure.
Bruno will have to
Is
bring
he on
back
your
the old
fantasy
Dota
team?
Academy. Sexy Bambo Muppets. I wish.
I don't think any of EG members are on my fantasy.
I wish. I would
But too
totally.
bad they're
If
not
I could
even
pick
in
Bambo,
the
I'd put him
international.
on my team. Then he would actually score the lowest points ever. He'd get a big fat 0. I love you, Sexy Bambo.
He got like
If you're
7
watching.
points last year or something
Yeah.
throughout the whole tournament.
What was the highest points? Do you know?
I don't know. It was
Guys, for anyone who's wondering, I think we probably would have started Game 2 by now, but as probably many of you have seen, if you're trying to go play Dota or watch in Dota TV, the Dota 2 client network is down.
Scheduled,
waiting.
Scheduled maintenance.
Yeah.
During.
Yeah, they schedule
game.
maintenance in the middle of the match. We're on Valve time now, guys. Welcome to the Twilight Zone.
Do you guys know if the fantasy team is still open for selection of your team, or is it because the first match is played? Yes, you still can. Okay.
Are you sure?
Are the wildcard matches not
But you
tracked?
can't get your. Can you get your Smeevil upgrade? There's like a mount you get if you make a team.
I don't know.
No bird.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
I
think
guess
I
this
played
is
cards.
probably the last time you can get your fantasy team, so a big plug to that. I think the fantasy league this year wasn't as good as last year, the one that Bruno and I designed, because
Because you designed it.
well, no, because
If Lumi didn't do it, it must be shit.
like No, I understand why they did it the way they did it. But this year they have Fantasy League, and you just basically pick your players.
Yeah.
Last year we had a certain cost. Like if you want to buy Dendi, like he is more expensive than, let's say, a solo mid from another team. Because Dendi gives you more points.
Yeah.
So this year
There was more strategy involved. This is just like pick the best players.
Right, which I think is a little bit more available to the mass public. It's easier for you to follow, and that's cool and stuff.
The other cool thing with the Fantasy League that Bruno did last year was you can make like a league with your friends and compete against them directly.
Sure.
Whereas now you just kind of compete against everybody.
But you know, nothing against Valve, because this year they're supporting it very much. So we have a fantasy tab, which I guess we could maybe do a little bit in game.
It's in the game.
In the game, you can live follow your team how they're doing. Also, if you're watching at Battle Royale Hall, you're gonna have like, I guess, monitors on the hall, and you can see your own team if you're doing well on the top. So I'm not sure if you guys made your team, because I have.
Oh, I made my team.
I made mine.
I made my team.
I'm gonna do
I
the
blogged
best.
about my team as well. I think I have the best team.
You guys should probably pick the same team as me because I said Rattlesnake are going to take this 3-1.
Wow.
These guys said 3-0 Quantic, so they're already wrong.
That's true.
Don't doubt Ben's F.
They're already wrong.
No,
Okay.
Ben just like next level, the rarest out of everybody.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Not sure how much longer this delay will be. We're going to take a very quick break. We'll come back as soon as we have some news to report. But right now, the storyline is Quantic trailing 0-1. Rattlesnake take game 1. It's a best of 5. The winner advances into the group stages of the International 3. The prize pool just eclipsed $2.8 million. So a lot at stake here. We'll find out who takes game 2 after this.